Johnson, and this is focused on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmas, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Bokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia. For Liberia, Liberia. For Liberia, yeah, 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 yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. It's focused on Liberia. Talk about home affairs. Hey. In diaspora. Current affairs. Reliable information. History. Ooh. Talking about culture. Politics. Education. Entertainment. Business. Sports. Advertisement. Articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus on.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of Roundtable Africa. Roundtable Africa, we're talking about other African countries. Today, we're going to talk about Liberia and specifically the Yekeh Kolubah's expulsion from the legislature, its impact on Liberian democracy and the rule of law. Our friend and presenter, Mr. Mohammed Sharif, is here. I want to say welcome, Mr. Sharif, for the show.
Thank you, Dennis, for this opportunity to discuss this issue on Liberia.
Thank you. Let me also welcome the self-proclaimed youngest on the show. No. Let me welcome Elvis Morris, an incredibly smart young man, joining us. Elvis, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. John. Thank you for having me. I'm getting older by the minute every day, so great to be on.
I know. I was young and fine like you once upon a time. All right. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. If you have not already done so, please take a minute, hit that share button and share the show, and let's discuss Yekeh Kolubah's expulsion, what it means for Liberian democracy and the rule of law. If you recall, the Committee on Rules, Order, and Administration at the Liberian House of Representatives presented its reports on the complaint filed against Honorable Yekeh Kolubah on allegation of misconduct in office, violation of his oath of office, and consistently bringing the House into public disrepute. That was investigated according to them, and Yekeh Kolubah has been expelled. Before we begin the show tonight, I will call on our presenter on the Roundtable Africa, Mr. Sharif, to do a little bit. We've been discussing, these things on a. So, Mr. Sharif will give us a brief background historically and everything else. Mr. Sharif.
Yes, thank you, and it's good to be here as always. So historically, Liberia is a democracy, and the Liberian democracy is very old. People don't realize that the founding of the Liberian state started as a democracy. You would never know that when people are discussing, they take the abbreviated version from the 1980s, 86 perhaps, and they say, well, our democracy started in 1986. It didn't start in 86. Started way back in 1847. there were elections. Elections were not the only thing that was happening around that time. You had opposition parties around that time. You had, independent press around that time period. So you have some of the instruments of a real democracy. The pitfalls of that early democracy was the fact that it was not widespread. So you're talking about the coastal belt where this administration, this sort of democracy was being practiced. So the rest of the country, for example, people in Crew Coast area couldn't say the same thing. People in Grand Jita perhaps couldn't say the same thing about that democracy. So it was flawed. However, most major democracies started, like the American democracy, started as an experiment. So it was flawed. So there was democracy. So all I'm saying here now is that Liberia has had this democratic tradition for a long time. And because we've had this democratic tradition for a long time, we've had the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch of government. It has the troubling thing about Liberian democracy is that once in a while you have an administrative overreach, from either the executive or from the legislature itself, but mostly with pressure from the executive branch of government. So the first known expulsion, we're talking the expulsion of Yekeh Kolubah right now. The first known of these expulsions, I believe there was another one before that, but D12 comes to mind in 1929. So D12 was expelled from the Liberian legislature for his advocacy of the indigenous Liberians and his effort in exposing the Fernando Po crisis in the late 1920s. So he was expelled from the national legislature. The next person who was also expelled was Councillor Chair Chipo. Chair Chipo was expelled in 1977 under the Toba government. Something he did, if you watch his testimony before the TRC, he laid out everything in his brilliant testimony Chair Chipo did. And in the same year, either before Chipo or after Chipo, was Alan Yancey from Maryland County. Alan Yancey was accused of racialistic killing in Kepamas. And when news of that broke, Alan Yancey, President Tolbert, asked the legislature to expel Alan Yancey. And as soon as this was done, police in Monrovia arrested Mr. Yancey and took him down to Harper. Mr. Yancey and others were tried and later executed for their crimes. They were actually given due process because they were tried before a court of competent jurisdiction. Now, the method, you can complain about the method, some of the things that he faced before that trial, but they were tried. They all were tried and given due process. And then Chipo again was expelled. Actually, he was impeached from the Supreme Court bench, but we're not really talking about Supreme Court now because if you go Supreme Court, there were other people. We will be talking about Janet, we'll be talking about other people. So if you keep it at the legislative level, so it was Detour, it was Chair Chipo, Alan Yancey, and I believe during the Taylor administration there was a Beto or Bidel. I don't know how he pronounced that name, but
and then I take Pan too.
Bidel Fan is another Pan.
No, I said the other lady Pan. The last name Pan.
Grace, is that Grace Pan?
Grace Pan, yeah.
Okay, so she was also expelled from the legislature. Was that a Senate or House of Representatives?
I don't remember now.
But Grace Pan was superintendent for Monserrato County.
That's what I thought.
Oh no, then no, we're talking about Taylor era.
Right, but she was superintendent.
She was superintendent under Ellington. That's when she worked in government.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
Okay. But yeah, in any case, about half dozen Liberian citizens have been expelled, including Yekeh Kolubah now, who has made this infamous list of Liberians who have been expelled. The troubling thing about this is it has always been something along the lines of, free speech, the exercise of their free speech. Detour was expelled because of his advocacy for indigenous rights. And you see Chair Chipo, same thing, because it belonged to the opposition PPP. And Chipo was someone who didn't hold back. And so he was expelled. Yekeh Kolubah is now expelled because of his comment on the border dispute between Guinea and Liberia. I mean, he has the right to speak up, to hold other people accountable. Now, there was something he said, I thought that should have been investigated. He said the machines, the equipment that were seized belonged to the president. There has to be some kind of investigation into this. There's no congressional investigation into any of these allegations. Instead, now this legislature, it's acquiescing to the executive mansion and taking these decisions. And so we're seeing this now under the Boaka administration to finish up, because my colleagues have to come in, to finish this up now. Boaka is on pace, under his administration, is on pace to expel or overthrow as many people, twice more than George Weah, because you had a speaker who was illegally removed a year ago. Now you have Yekeh Kolubah, who has been expelled under very questionable circumstances. So Liberian democracy is in peril.
Thank you. Let me also welcome Dr. Clarence R. Pearson. He is the new progressive commentator and author. In fact, Dr. Pearson has started a podcast talking about some of the poignant issues in our country. Dr. Pearson, we're glad to have you. Let me start with you. We're talking about Yekeh Kolubah, like someone who has followed Liberian politics for some time now. Who is Yekeh Kolubah? If you can bring some of our listening audience to speed on that. There are a lot of people, we see the person, but if you can, let's go a little deeper on who Yekeh Kolubah is. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure being on the show tonight, and I want to say hi to my fellow panelists, Mr. Sharif and Mr. Amaris. It's a pleasure being back on the show after a while. Yeah, I think the conversation tonight is very important, considering the expulsion of Representative Yekeh Kolubah. In my opinion, I don't think he's expelled yet until you can get a due process, especially with the response from the Supreme Court that we saw with J. Fanati Kofa that declared the entire process of his own removal from a speaker at ultra virus, and the guys have to go back and redo it. So I think that's what's going to play out. But Yekeh Kolubah comes from Lofa County. He claims to be from Lofa County. Yekeh Kolubah also claimed to have lived on the old road area after the civil crisis, but prior to his residency on the old road belt in District 10, Yekeh Kolubah was, we would normally say, one of those recruited as a child soldier during the Liberian civil crisis with the NPFL, the National Patriotic Front. And when the NPFL got disbanded, converted, I should say, into a political party, the NPP, National Patriotic Party, Yekeh Kolubah transitioned from being a former fighter to becoming a part of the security sector. So he was recruited as one of those within the security sector under Charles Taylor. And we are all aware that because of the fragility, the circumstances under which Taylor took power, coming from war, he needed people who he can trust. And I guess because of that, he felt more comfortable with former fighters in the security apparatus. So Yekeh became one of those recruited in the National Police, Liberian National Police. It was there that Yekeh made his transition from militarism to civil defense career as a police officer. And Yekeh used that to strengthen his base in terms of buying property across Liberia, and not just doing that, but turning from a former war character into someone in the community who shows some sympathy and concern for the community, and quietly transitioned himself in that picture until he was able to run for office, legislative office, after Taylor was kicked out. Ellen had come to power, so he thought to transition himself because I don't think Ellen would have accommodated him easily. So he ran for office and he won, became a representative, and I think this is the third term he was already serving, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, so that's the Yekeh Kolubah for us, so we can understand where he got his temperament, his style of politics from the era where you could take the barrel of the gun and you can own a house, and if you can shout louder among your friends, you become the commander for a brigade or a squad. All right, so yeah, so Yekeh understands how chaos can yield results if you know how to manipulate it. So yeah, that's the Yekeh we have.
Thank you. Evans, more on Yekeh. I know you have followed Yekeh's activities, especially you being a sympathizer of the CDC. Yekeh was very vocal during the presidency of Mr. Weah. So tell me a little bit about Yekeh's political activities, his what people term has been outspoken, his advocacy, as they call it. And is Yekeh out of the ordinary, because we have seen a lot of people transforming from the gun to politics. So to you, who is Yekeh Kolubah, and is he a regular person? Like, has he taken a path that other people have taken, or is Yekeh is he an outlier? Talk to me about Yekeh Kolubah.
Yes, I hope you can hear me fine. I think Yekeh is an outlier. Yes, I would say that because one of the things about him is that he, to a certain extent, is proud of his involvement in the war. He doesn't shy away from it. He explicitly says that he fought war in the country, and in his mind, he was just and justified to fight. And I think one of the things that makes him different is that he is not beholden to anyone in terms of political loyalty. He's what many people will call independent, a true independent. He's an associate, but he's not a part of any party, so he doesn't follow any party constitution. And I think I'm disappointed in him because over the years he should have learned that immorality is not necessarily illegality. So if you're cussing and being disgruntled and saying things that will offend people, morally it may not be something that is offensive legally. So in this instance, I will tell you that I agree that what he said was egregious in terms of international relations. Because when you're talking about a personality within the country, that's domestic. So you're not dividing the country in terms of siding with the quote unquote enemy. But what he said in this country, for example, will rise to a level of maybe being censored. Not censor, but censure, meaning that they will give you some kind of punishment where they would kind of pretty much warn you that if you do this again, you're going to be punished. It's like a warning. And that's a legislative term that they use when somebody is out of order. I think that would have been the best thing to do because he didn't truly aid Guinea. When you're talking about treason and sedition, this person has to take tangible action to actually aid the enemy, to do something, whether it's through writing, whether it's through official agreement, to say that I'm siding with you against my own country interests. Then that rises to the level of treason. But what he said was an outburst that was perhaps saying to be against the country's interests, but it wasn't action taken to actually aid the enemy. And I think these guys didn't do a thorough investigation of the situation, and they already had it out for the Speaker of the House had a fracas with Yekeh in terms of parking spot where he he put somebody to break into his car. So it's been something that the public have seen that Yekeh has been targeted by this current speakership. And as such, they found any little thing to kick him out. But I think Yekeh, as a person who's been in the legislature, I think now for 2 terms, should have been smart enough to understand that I can't just say anything, especially when it comes to international matters. So saying what he said should have raised, risen to a disciplinary action, but not expulsion. And another thing that happened is that they didn't give him a lawyer. He was entitled to a lawyer to defend his case. And when he went in court, because we see what happened in this country when it comes to impeachment or even expulsion or whatever the case may be, you have the right to have a lawyer in that courtroom. Even though you're a senator or a representative, a lawyer is there to defend you because this is a legal matter, and you can have counsel by your side. And they refused to give him counsel. So I think what's going on here is that his due process was not given to him justly. Obviously, we know the history of the speakership and the leadership in the House, how they comported themselves during the fracas with Koba. So they did a lot of things that was quite frankly illegal and unseemly to due process. So I think Yekeh ultimately should be punished and probably made to apologize to the nation for his outburst, something that would probably be rare for him to do. But ultimately, I think he should be reinstated, perhaps fined, and made to publicly apologize. I think that's the right decision instead of expelling him from the national legislature.
Thank you. And Dr. Pearson, let me come to you before Mohammed now. What led to Yekeh's expulsion, and was it justified? I want us to start from that basis first. And let me also let the public know that Yekeh was not expelled for treason or anything else. What they said was his office. They said he missed the misconduct in office, the violation of his oath of office. That was the main one. And so they were more, because they were more administrative than legal. So what led to that, Dr. Pearson, and was the expulsion justified? Do you support it or not?
So thank you again, Dennis. So there are a couple of things. There are two ways to look at it. You may want to look at it from what actually is motivating his expulsion, and what his colleagues are saying that is the reason for his expulsion. So with those two lenses, what I would say is that what is motivating his expulsion is his criticism of the Buckeye's administration, is his falling of the Buckeye's train, the rescue train. What name? Yekeh Kolubah, Representative Kolubah, has been very vocal against the ills of the Buckeye's administration and the fails, as he see it, of Buckeye's administration when it comes to what the rescue mission promised the Liberian people. And his style of politics did not change from what he was when President Buckeye hailed him and supported him and used him on the campaign trail. So I do not see his approach, his style of politics to be the reason, other than the fact that he is now an anti-Joseph Boakai, who is now the president of the Republic of Liberia. But then what his colleagues are saying is that he went on Spoon Television, and then on the crisis with Guinea and Liberia, and Yekeh Kolubah seemed to have suggested that based on information available to him, and he said, and I recall because I saw the clip, he could be wrong, but his own information available to him, he said, I could be wrong, but information available to me, my own information available to me is that the property that Guinea is claiming, Guinea owns it. It is not Liberia, a portion of the land. And then, so I think his colleagues are saying that he used that expression outside of the responsibility of the oath of office that he took to protect the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia, so that if he comes out in the public and says something like that, and Liberia is in conflict with Guinea over a land dispute, and he comes and speaks in favor of Guinea to the detriment of Liberia, then he abused the oath of office. And some of them are acting on the basis of the letter sent to the House of Legislature, I should say to the House of Representatives by what his name said, IG Gregory Koba, the police IG Gregory Koba, who wrote the House of Representatives and the Senate complaining that Yekeh Kolubah's behavior undermines the national interest of Liberia and is tracing us. All right, so that is the letter on which they acted. Monserrato, District Number 3 representative, also sent a letter in complaining Yekeh Kolubah as well. But in the committee hearing that did not happen properly, was also that letter was taken off the floor because they didn't want to go into that letter because of some reason or the other. So they dwelt on the letter of the police director, which of course we know the police director is not the one who makes decisions on whether the country is at war or the country's state of security is under threat. It would have been the justice minister, all right, who would have made that communication available to the House of Representatives, or it would have been the president calling for action against the members of the representative if he found them in breach of their oath, to like in good spirits of coordination. But the president didn't do it. The justice minister didn't do it. Now, so is it politically motivated? I would say yes, and I guess we have time to talk it further in detail. But this is similar to what happened with Fanati Kofa, where the guys feel that they can act on the basis of politics, and they say it's politically driven. It is not legal. It's not a matter of constitution. But I would say before I drop the mark that the reliance that they are holding on to Article 38 says squarely that the both houses, Senate and representatives, can adopt their own rules to govern themselves, and they have the power to expel their own members, to discipline their own members. But why they fail to realize that at the end of that 38 says clearly that whatever they adopt and whatever they do, whatever disciplinary measure they take, it should be in accordance to due process under the law as laid down. It's there as laid down in the Constitution. In fact, about the Constitution was clear. It said, this Constitution. And then Article 20 tells you that if you have a rule that you rely on, that they say in the committee, or that I saw, the committee hearing I saw, they said our rules say that when you bring a lawyer on this kind of hearing, the lawyers cannot talk. Only you yourself can talk for yourself. The lawyer can talk in your ear and you talk for yourself. But then does that constitute due process? All right. And I think that's where Yekeh Kolubah is coming from, that if he were to defend himself against those charges that they put in against him, that he violated his oath of office, then it's constitutional matter because they say he's in breach of the Constitution. So if that is the case, then there has to be a higher standard of definition of due process rather than the political definition of due process in the House of Representatives. So that's why he's standing on to reject their kangaroo due process.
Thank you. Mr. Sharif, the same question. Councillor Tiawan Gonglo in his letter said, Gregory Koma, he is complaining the Yekeh Kolubah to his colleagues. He's a law enforcement officer, so if he see a crime being committed, he should go ahead and federal and arrest. It's like you went somewhere, you saw me breaking into a shop, and then you went to tell my mom. So in your view, is the move by the House justified? Everything that Yekeh was accused of, they did not talk about that. There's, you violated your oath of office. What really that mean? Maybe we can go into it further. But what's your take on the justification for expelling Mr. Kolubah?
Look, it's a brilliant analysis from Elvis and Dr. Pearson on this issue. This is the same Gregory Coleman who allowed a crime scene to remain open while, visitors and people just contaminated the whole area. I mean, this is the same person, okay, who is now instigating, who instigated, one of the instigators of the expulsion of Yekeh Kolubah. But I can tell you, Dennis, he is not doing this in isolation, which is the reason why you saw another representative from Monserrato who filed a petition. So they're doing this, right? So there are invisible hands behind these things. This is the reason why the House of Representatives is the executive mansion's playground. This is the reason why, one of the reasons why Speaker Kofa was removed, because the executive mansion has control of this House of Representatives. The executive mansion is in control of the legislative branch of government now. The executive mansion is in control of the legislative branch of government. So that flies in the face of, you know, this sort of liberal democracy where, you know, we're supposed to have this, you know, this system of check and balance. There's no more check and balance. You know, you have an overreach by enthusiasts of the Unity Party who were waiting, like Elvis said, who were waiting for any opportunity to expel Yekeh Kolubah. So Yekeh Kolubah was, before he turned a vociferous critic of the government, Yekeh Kolubah was the one who campaigned for boycott, who went to all these different counties, you know, county by county, you know, precinct by precinct, and ensure the election of Joseph Boycott. No sooner after the election, Yekeh Kolubah then turned on the administration in what he perceived as the betrayal of the promises that, you know, the president made, you know, during the lead up to the election. And so, you know, in other words, the president failed to live up to his electoral promises, and he became a critic. And I am of the view that they could not wait to get rid of him. So this was, again, a perfect opportunity for them to remove him from, you know, public service. But how you do that is why we're here, is why we're talking about this. Is this constitutional? No, it's not, because he's protected under Article 15A, B, and C of the 1986 Constitution. And these guys act like they don't read the Constitution. Maybe they don't read the Constitution, because I watched an interview with a member of the media and a member of the House of Representatives who was being interviewed. And he was basically asked, you know, what provision did you use? And he could not cite anything. It's very shameful that a lawmaker could not cite any rules, any provision for which he just voted to remove his colleague. And this is the thing about Liberia. So without reading the charges, without understanding what he was voting for, he voted anyway. And so, you know, all of the things that Yekeh was saying, you know, were some of these things irresponsible, where, you know, should he have been careful? Yes, it should have been, but there is no law that bars him from saying this. In fact, Liberia, they're throwing around words like treasonous, you know, Coleman, Police Director Coleman, throwing these words around. What do you mean by treasonous, Mr. Coleman? Liberia is not a war. Are we a war with Guinea now? Are we a war with any, you know, foreign powers now? And you are throwing these words around. And why didn't you, if you've seen something treasonous, why didn't you effect an arrest right away? Why didn't you, you know, engage into, why didn't you do your job? If you believe that this man is committing treason against the Liberian state. But it was none of that. It was an opportunity for them to remove a critic of the government. You know, they're going to get rid of a thorn in the flesh of the president. You know, right now, Dennis, we have a political prisoner in jail who is languishing in jail, the Prophet Key, who was accused of, oh, you cost my mom, so I'm going to lock you up. You know, Yekeh Kolubah could call the president, so we're going to remove you. So who's next? So the administration is on pace to remove twice as many people as the Weah administration did. Right? So now this is their second year. Is this a second or third year? So they're on pace to really surpass the number of people that have been thrown out of service, you know, in these kind of dubious circumstances. And it is dangerous. So all I'm saying is, you know, it is our patriotic duty to call this for what it is. This is inimical to the stability of Liberian democracy. This is a democracy that came on the backs of thousands of lives. People died to achieve, you know, the semblance of peace that Liberia currently enjoys. If you think that this is nothing, if people think that this peaceful atmosphere is nothing, then they didn't see the war. They didn't see the troubles that we went through. They didn't see anything, the bullets that were flying. They didn't see it. They didn't see the hunger that we had to go through in refugee camps. They didn't see our people die in refugee camps from hunger, from thirst, from the fact that they've lost their dignity and their homeland. And so people, leaders, is baffling that our leaders how soon, how quickly they forget that the troubles of yesterday was because of the fact that these constitutional infractions, taking people's rights away from them. There was a time that Chair Chipo, his citizenship rights were taken away from him in the late 80s. He had to come back after the Civil War in 90, after, during the transitional period in 94, that at that point when his citizenship rights were reinstated after he was thrown out of the Supreme Court, and then, that was, I think it was in late 89 or mid 89 or somewhere there. His, rights as Liberian citizens, he was, basically his rights were abrogated. And so after during the transitional administration, when he came back, and then his rights as citizens were restored. So we're coming to a situation now where you have the semblance of meritocracy. Where are we going with all of this? Nobody. Dennis, and my central question is, what crimes did Yekeh Kolubah commit? I need to know that so that I can research that. I can go into the Constitution and look up the crimes. They have not told us the crimes that Yekeh Kolubah committed, for which he has been expelled from the Liberian legislature.
Thank you. Let me welcome Mr. Momo Tule, who's joining us. And same question to you. So the House said Yekeh violated his oath of office. A lot of the people rely on Article 38 of the Liberian Constitution. It reads, each house shall adopt its own rules of procedure, enforce order, and with the concurrence of 2/3 of the entire membership, may expel a member for cause. What that cause is, that can be defined in the rules of the house. They say each house shall establish its own committees and subcommittees, provided, however, that the committees on revenues and appropriations shall consist of one member from each county. All rules adopted by the legislature shall conform to the requirements of due process of law laid down in this constitution. And at least we can define due process. Momo, let me ask you, is the expulsion of Yekeh Kolubah justified, and what is the cost? Because the constitution says for cost.
Yeah. Thank you, and thank you for having me. I want to say hi to the panelists. So in my opinion, it was justified. I beg to differ with all of the guys on the panel today. The reason being is like he violated his oath of office. That alone is enough to get him out. He swore to the Constitution to protect and defend the Constitution of the Republic, our territorial integrity. And Yekeh openly made a statement, reckless statement, saying that the land, based on his survey, that the land in question belongs to the Guineans. How can a sitting lawmaker look? People may argue about freedom of speech, but freedom of speech comes with responsibility.
What part of the Constitution did
Oh my God! You won't allow me. You were speaking, and I was quiet. I just allowed me to, I allow you to. Then later on, you can come back with your question. But don't just kind of throw me off. Do not throw me off. I'm in flight. Don't throw me off. I was
go ahead.
When you were speaking.
Go ahead, Mr. Tule.
So Yekeh Kolubah did something that, look. Let me just speak from America's standpoint, right? I'm a former U.S. Army personnel, right? I served here in the U.S. military. what Guinea currently did to Liberia, what Guinea is currently doing to Liberia, it's an art of war. Just that we're not responding in kind, as Guinea is doing. For the fact that another country, a foreign country military will cross over to another country's territory and host their flag. It's an art of war. If you guys don't know, that would not happen to any sovereign nation. So when you guys just sit on the panel and just kind of want to sort of just discount what Guinea did, you think you might want to put it in a place where it's just a mere thing. What Guinea action constitute an act of war?
Yekeh Kolubah, go back to
We
Yekeh.
we just decided not to respond the way Guinea expected us to respond. Maybe bring our military, try to be aggressive as they are, because they are the aggressor. But we decided to take a more diplomatic channel because we've seen enough of that. I'm 46 years old. I know enough of what we went through during the war. And someone who held arms here in the U.S., I know what it means to go to war. War sort of takes a lot of resources, lives, and everything. A lot of collateral damages that happen during war. When if we had actually like gone into a real conflict with Guinea, whether it's CDC, Unity Party, or whatever, when Guinea dropping their bomb on us, they're not going to distinguish which party we're from. So for you guys to now limit this argument to because Yekeh has been so critical to with this administration, he's been insulting. Yekeh has been insulting Joseph Juma Baga for days and months. No one cares. That's his freedom. That's his right to cuss whatever you want to do. That's what we call freedom of speech. But when your freedom of speech sort of coming in a way where you are surrendering your territory as a lawmaker, not just an ordinary Liberian, but as a sitting lawmaker, to surrender your territory to another nation and say it's for you guys. And you are so definitive in your utterances that
Thank you.
constitute the house. Dennis, you guys were talking so long, you never try to shut them up, you never try to
No,
interrupt them. But I ain't even going even
no, I hear your point. This is what I'm trying to do. And by five, I'm the best in the business, right?
okay.
So that's your
Go ahead.
point. You said two things. It's justified. He violated his oath of office because he surrendered
Yes.
piece of the country to Guinea.
Yes.
How? How did he surrender it?
His utterance. That was how. Words.
How
No,
do how did he give it to Guinea?
Dennis, thank you. Dennis, words matter.
I agree.
So, more so as a sitting lawmaker who is charged with the responsibility, even more to protect and defend our territorial integrity. And you are the same one telling the nation, telling the world, telling our adversaries, saying that as Guinea, that our land for you, take it. Then y'all want to sit here and just allow this to be? You have to be responsible. If you are reckless and irresponsible, you will be like Yekeh.
Thank you.
What constitutional provision did he violate?
Go ahead.
What section of the Constitution?
Then I think you're having some issues with your connection.
No, Mohammed is asking you. He said, which part of the Constitution?
I can't hear Mohammed. I didn't hear Mohammed.
He said, which part of the Constitution did Yekeh violate?
It's not about Yekeh violated the rules.
What article?
The Senate.
What article?
No, which of the House rule did he violate?
The House rule, whatever his oath of office, when he swore to the Constitution that he will protect and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia, and he went ahead, instead of protecting, he gave it up. That's part of the House rule, and that's why he's been punished.
What article?
The Constitution is also part of the House rule. The House rule is not somewhat different from what the Constitution said. It can never be different. It has to align with the Constitution.
Thank you. Elvis, you had a question?
Yes. Yes, I'm actually going to agree with Momo here. He's saying pretty much what I said. I didn't say that Yekeh wasn't wrong.
For some reason, I'm not hearing.
Yeah, you probably got to bring him back in, Mr. Guy. Yeah. When I first
I think I need to go in and come back. Let me go back out and come back in.
When I first spoke, I said that Yekeh was wrong doing what he did. and that such punitive action should have been taken against. What Momo is saying is actually true because
Evans, your audio is very bad. Yeah, we're not understanding you. It's grinding, it's muffled, and everything. All right.
Can he do audio only? Maybe that'll be better.
Are you hear me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, it's better.
Okay. The point I was making is that what Momo was saying was actually right because although he can't probably quote the provision of or the article of the Constitution that he's speaking on, I myself, I know that the Constitution talk about protecting the integrity of the country and not aiding or abetting, foreign adversaries, right? There's some language in the Constitution to that effect. And Yekeh has a unique position as being constituted with the authority to serve a constituent and represent the people of Liberia in the legislature. So if Guinea was to take a case and Guinea said, well, this is a case in point. This is a sitting lawmaker who conceded that this land actually belongs to us. And thereby, they know this is our land truly. What can Liberia say? Well, that's a crazy man. Will you put a crazy man in the legislature? Will you put somebody to represent your people who is crazy and what he said wasn't true? So Yekeh, what he did in that moment, I disagree with what he did. And I think he gave them cause to actually, strengthen their case to say, well, a lawmaker in Liberia says our land. That makes our case even stronger to take the land. So for me, I think what Yekeh did was absolutely wrong. But I think the
Okay.
legislature.
Evans, before you land, you will only say that if you go to court, if people have to say, if let's say we went to court, Guinea and Liberia, you think Guinea is going to use what Yekeh say has the right to the land?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna make case. You're gonna make a case with any evidence that you can bring
Evidence,
to
right? And
right.
and what Yekeh said will be admissible as evidence that this land belonged to Guinea because Yekeh said it.
No.
I mean, it's not even. It's in that case, it might be hearsay if Yekeh is not present in the court. But depending on the structure of international court, I don't know. But what I'm telling you is his utterance, and he's constituted in his authority to speak on national matters. So for him to say that was aiding gaining case. And my point here is that the lawmaker should probably use some temperance and maybe not expel him, but maybe push him through maybe salary deduction and censure or whatever the case may be. Definitely, what Momo was saying, he was right in his analysis, and not because we know that this government is targeting certain individual and personalities means that the House's action wasn't right. I think that the fact that Yekeh what he did should have apologized to the country and apologized to his colleagues and maybe said, I won't say that again, I was wrong. Sometimes you gotta apologize. When you realize what you did was egregious, apologize and ask for forgiveness, and maybe they would have been more lenient with you. But I think he was still being defiant, and what he did was egregious enough to probably rise to the level of impeachment or in this case expulsion. I disagree
Did
with it, but legally I think they had some standing.
did he even say that on the oath or whatever he says?
Mr. Jack, come on now. Let's not do
Oh,
that. Yeah,
man.
it's a
No,
lawmaker. He went on the
I'm
platform, the
asking
biggest
a
the biggest platform in our country. He went on the platform and said it. Land belongs, you know how he speaks already. The land belongs to Guinea. Now Guinea people get the land. Saying it so definitively, and Guinea is making a claim that this land belongs to us. And your lawmaker is telling you that this land belongs to them. Come on. That you can't say that.
if you
So I may be wrong. I'm not a legal expert, but the lawyers and people who are adjacent with the law maybe can elucidate me on where I might be going wrong. But
right,
I pass the mic.
I think you are going wrong because it's like
All right.
No, Dennis is like you picking a side as a as a as a
yeah.
as an anchor on the
Let me
show.
get no. That's why as moderator of the show, that's why I read a lot and I research a lot to make sure what the law says. I'm not a
Hmm.
lawyer, but I read their rules. What they are doing is, and I'm going to share the rules. So I'm saying he said if Yekeh, in the street says something, or on a platform says something, Guinea is going to use that as evidence to take the land from, like, to get a land from Liberia. But let me hear from Dr. Pearson. He's been quiet. Dr. Pearson, Mr. Tule is saying, hey, he violated his oath of office because he has conceded. And I have really not heard from Guinea what their contentions are, and the government have not really told us what the real issues are. It started with mining sand, BK, the confiscated equipments, they took the land. Some young boys went and pushed them back. So far, neither the president nor the Liberian military have done anything about securing that border. But now it's Yekeh. So really, I don't know up to now from my research, I don't really know what Guinea's contention is. Dr. Pearson, do you have an idea what is it that Guinea is contending? Is Guinea actually saying that's their land, or is it about mining equipment, or is it about the Macondo River? Is it about mineral? What is it that you know? And how does Yekeh's statement validate or invalidate the claims Guinea is making?
Thank you, Venice. Yeah, listen, I was shifting in my seat when I heard Momo spoke the way he spoke for several reasons. Number one, I can understand his passion coming on the platform, considering Yekeh's statement to be on the front to the integrity of our country in terms of our territorial integrity. But I expected more from him because he sounded like he had a lot of the information to back his emotions, but it was nothing more than just a Coca-Cola spill, right? Because I think you asked him a couple of questions that he couldn't answer. For instance, he said that Yekeh violated his oath of office, and he couldn't even cite the oath of office of the Constitution that the legislatures. Or the legislature has, or the legislators provides. For instance, I will read the oath for you. It says, I do solemnly swear.
It's the same oath that we all swore to here in America. You don't have to repeat it yet. We know about it. That's so elementary. Just go ahead. Everyone knows about our oath.
You're yelling at
That's elementary. We already know about the oath.
No, I would like to hear the oath. Maybe there's some things that we can learn.
Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Maybe he knows so much that we don't know about oath over office. We don't know what the oath of office is. Go ahead. Say it for yourself.
You said Mohammed interrupted you. Let him finish.
Nobody interrupted me, so I want to see how it feels to interrupt people. You know what I mean? Yeah. Go ahead.
You know, again, it goes back to what I'm saying. You got a lot of the emotions, but you lack the gravitas for the occasion. Now, let me go back to what I'm saying. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the Republic of Liberia, and that I will faithfully, conscientiously, and impartially discharge the duties and functions of a senator or representative, which one you want to be, of the Republic of Liberia to the best of my ability, so helping God. When Yekeh said that based on all of the information available to him, that the evidence is pointing to Guinea as the owner of that property, there's no violation to this Constitution.
What?
There's none. I'm not going to be excited for no reason, because people following us on the shows and they have to learn. Like you will have to learn from me right now. And the reason why I say he violated nothing there because
that's a good question.
Listen.
Does the Constitution talk about protecting our territorial integrity?
He's not answering himself. I don't know that PSG. I don't know where it came from. But
come on now, let's not do that, Mr. Momo.
Hold on, guys. Yeah. Dr. Pearson still has the floor.
Okay, so it said to defend the Constitution. The Constitution, Article 15 of the Constitution reads, 15A, every person shall have the right to freedom of expression, being fully responsible for the abuse thereof. This right shall not be curtailed, restricted, or enjoined by government, self, during an emergency declared in accordance with this Constitution. B says the right encompasses the right to hold opinions without interference and the right to knowledge. It includes freedom of speech and of the press, academic freedom to receive and to impart knowledge and to inform and to information, and the right of libraries to make such information available. If Yekeh Kolubah feels he has access to information that he says, based on the information I have before me, that all fingers are pointing to Guinea owning this property. When President Bokar went to negotiate and comes back from the negotiation, if he felt for any reason that Guinea was encroaching on the property of Liberia, on the lands of Liberia, as the head of state and the head of government, he could have made that clear to us as the Liberian people. Guinea is on our territory, and Guinea is in violation of our laws, of our land rights. In addition to that, I would have expected the president, who has the authority within him to declare a state of emergency. If he felt, and you mentioned, you said, but Guinea putting a flag on our country is on the front to us, is a declaration of war. Then the president has the capacity to declare a state of emergency, and then on that state of emergency, then he curtails anybody's right to say anything that will impinge on that situation. Better still, Yekeh Kolubah is of the legislature. The legislature has the power to declare war. The Constitution says that someone is held liable for treason if at all their action undermines the state in a state of war. The legislature has not declared war. So what I'm saying here is that there are facts that must be laid down to justify why Yekeh is in violation of his oath, and no, he's not. I mean, I don't like his speech.
Can I interject for a second? Just give me a few seconds.
Go ahead, interject.
So, I mean, it is what Guinea was doing at the border, what they had done, their action. Automatic, you could just tell that their action was a clear declaration of war. It's just that we did not respond the way.
Agree on that. We all agree on what you just said.
What he was reading, I don't know whether he read it he was understanding what he was reading. Because if what you were reading and you were squarely going by that, we should be arguing here.
No,
this is what I've just talked about.
Too late. If Guinea declare war on us, what the president supposed to do?
Look, let me tell you one thing, right? Remember we started this on the previous show about this whole thing. I said when it comes to the president who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Liberia, I said somehow he fought when it comes to, because I'm a military guy.
Right.
The military will never move.
Jack, quick question. Is Liberia at war?
What?
Is Liberia at war?
By the action of Guinea, we have not declared war. You ask me a question, let me answer that. You can't be interrupting me. But look, we have not declared war.
Is Liberia at war?
Oh my God. By Guinea being on our territory with weapons and posting their flag is an act of aggression, is an act of war.
Is Liberia at war?
I already told you.
The right term is Liberia has been invaded. We're not in active hot war with Guinea, but we've been invaded on our territory.
Exactly.
Mr. Tule, the question is no. Liberia is not at war.
No, by reason of the way Guinea has occupied our territory. Look, do you know what it means for another country to soldiers? No, hold on. That two things Guinea did that you guys are not looking at. Guinea soldiers came on our land with weapons.
But we are not discussing Guinea. We are discussing.
No. It was based on Guinea.
Hold on, Mr. Pearson. Mr. Tule, let's get this straight.
Yeah.
Guinea invaded Liberia. The president did not declare war. The president did not send army. The president did nothing. He went to Guinea to talk to them. When he came back, we don't even know what they said.
But
so at that point, can we say Liberia is at war?
Of course we're at war. Of course we're at war. We did not respond in kind. You know why? And I side with the president because
another question, Dennis. Another question. Permit me, please. Another question from Momo. Listening to us. Just quick question, Dennis. Just quick question, Momo. Who has the authority on our constitution to declare war?
Congress, our legislature.
The legislature.
Did
Has the
that
legislature
happen?
declare war?
No, listen to me. You guys are throwing the
Momo
whole
just
conversation
conceded.
off.
We're not at
The
war, but we've
question,
been
the
invaded. Just
question
concede
is,
that point.
the question is, we are under attack. Whether you like it or not, we
Yes.
don't. The president does not have to definitively or clear this, open his mouth and say we are at war. You for yourself, I for myself, knew that our territorial sovereignty was
Momo,
under
you're a
attack
military guy, so
by
don't
reason of another soldier coming over to our territory with weapons and hosting. Do you know what it means to host a flag on a foreign land? Another country coming over
all right. So Momo,
aggressively?
let me ask you a military question. If we are being attacked and the president did nothing, can you recommend the impeachment of the president?
It's a
for
dereliction
that?
of excuse me. It's a dereliction of duty. But I never said he never did anything.
Yeah. So
The president did not use.
no.
The president did something, and I would disagree with you.
I want to end my question. So if you dereliction of duty, that's impeachable. Can you say yes or no?
I will not say yes or no because he did something. He never
Yeah.
derelict his duty. He went through a diplomatic channel rather than go through the way Guinea expected us to do. Because you know what? One thing about the leader in Guinea, he's more about military junta leader. He seems to be transition to military to civilian rule, but he's not. He's more aggressive. He thinks that showing military might that shows some strength of Guinea. No, we are just a war. We are not going to fall for that nonsense that you are bringing to us. We will take a more diplomatic approach.
Thank you. And even if you declare you are a military guy, so let's talk. Even if you are declaring, if your country is under attack, even if you are going through the diplomatic channel, will you not tell us? Will you not go to Congress?
He told us when he flew to Guinea, everyone knew that the president was going to have a dialogue with his Guinean counterpart. We saw that. It was not a hidden secret.
What's the outcome of the dialogue?
It is those things are classified. It's not for you and I to know.
Oh no, come on now,
Unless the
Momo.
president, hold on.
I agree with you up to that point.
Has to declassify certain
Then let
information
move on. Then let
and
move
bring
on.
it to us.
All right.
But
Thank you. Let me ask you this question. What if, I'm just saying what if, and I asked Momo the question last week, what if what Yekeh said, what if it were true that the land belonged to Guinea? Just hypothetical. He said, based on the record I have, that disputed land belongs to Guinea. What if Yekeh is correct?
Well, and now that's that. That would be before the fact or after the fact that the House of Representatives have to establish that indeed that land belongs to Guinea, and then in such what he said would not have been wrong.
What if that is correct that the land belongs to Guinea?
Then they'll have to reverse their decision, but they have to do an investigation to prove that it was correct.
So how could we have established whether the land belonged to Guinea or not before expelling him? How could we have established that?
Because that portion of the country for years, for centuries, maybe not centuries, but for close to.
Based on that, there are some people who are living in the army land for long. So being there for 20 years doesn't mean anything. So I'm saying, what if you were correct, right?
I mean, now we're doing hypotheticals, and that's unfair to us, right? Because we can't make a accurate analysis with hypotheticals. My point is that
exactly. So the thing I'm getting at is, so before you do these things, you must investigate.
But that portion of that land, Mr. John, the people living on that land identify themselves as Liberians. They identify themselves to be living in Liberia.
I'm only pushing a point because you can only establish this thing after investigation. But they are saying just because you say it, so you are expelled. Just think about it that way. You are not allowed to bring your evidence. You are not allowed to bring a lawyer. You are not allowed to do anything. Just because you utter this, we are going to expel you.
And that's what I'm saying, right? I said that what he said, based on the information as we know it, everything being constant, that land belongs to Liberia. We have Liberian citizens living on that land, and thereby Guinea coming onto that land and planting that flag was the invasion of our land. Full stop. That's what we know to be the current situation. But I would agree with Momo that the president did take action, and it's not required of him to always declare war, go to Congress or the legislature to ask them to declare war. If he feels like he can resolve the issue diplomatically, he can take that route. And he took that route and went to Guinea and try to resolve it diplomatically. So though I think we were invaded, and we probably still have a invasion if they're still on the land, the president had the priority to say the prerogative to say, well, we are going to declare war and attack them and try to expel them from our land, or we're going to talk this over and come to a diplomatic understanding. So I think Momo was right in that instant. My point here is, and I'm not too familiar with the Constitution. Perhaps I should be more. Does our Constitution talk anything? Says anything about protecting the territorial integrity of our nation? And yet, like what Dr. Pierce was reading about the rights and freedom of speech, those are for ordinary citizens. Citizens don't take a oath, especially if you're born or if you don't naturalize. You don't take an oath to defend the Constitution. But a lawmaker take a specific oath to defend and protect and uphold. When they say uphold, means that what the Constitution says, you're gonna make sure that it's enforced and nobody is disrespecting or doing anything that contravenes the Constitution. So Yekeh took that particular oath of office to uphold that Constitution, and what he said in my analysis or my estimation goes against upholding the Constitution. Now, if you're a lawmaker and you have a constituted duty to hold your Constitution, and you say something that goes against what it says, you can be held liable for what you said. And I think the process was a bit dubious. The punishment, I think, was a bit excessive, and I think he should have been punished but not expelled. That's what I'm saying. So we can't defend Yekeh and say he was right for what he said. I think what he said at the time was very bad, and I think he should have apologized and maybe talked to his colleagues, and maybe apologized to the nation, and probably things would have been fine. But he stood his ground and was defending what he said.
Thank you. Let's talk about
I
the
agree with
process.
you, my brother. I agree with you.
Let's talk about the process. There is a big question in the Constitution about due process. And the House rule can have some things. And I was talking to somebody on the phone, he said, oh, the House, they have their rules, they can do whatever they want. But the Constitution says you can write whatever rule you want, but whatever rule you write should not violate the Constitution and should agree. One of the things laid down in the Constitution is due process. In your view, do you believe Yekeh was accorded due process?
No, he wasn't given due process. So here's what's going on. You have administration after administration. I just cited the Detour case. Detour wasn't given due process. Chair Chipo wasn't given due process. But history has vindicated these people. And now looking back, history has vindicated Detour. History has vindicated Chair Chipo. History may, I don't know, history may vindicate Yekeh Kolubah in this situation because of a kangaroo process that ensued in the House of Representatives. This is a House of Representatives that's beholden to the executive branch of government. This is a legislative branch that that does not respect any separation of powers. They're very subservient to the executive mansion. These guys, it's like they don't read. It's almost like they don't know how to read. And that is my problem. You hear our brother, I'm asking him a simple question. What article? He can't cite me in the article. Dr. Pearson says, who declared war? And he hesitated for a minute. Elvis had to come to his aid.
No, I gotta. No, listen to me.
This is.
Come on, guys. Let's have decorum, please.
No, I understand
excuse
that
me,
I have to allow you to speak. You're the exact individual who interrupted me. And I want you to know when you state your point, state your point without trying to denigrate anyone on the platform.
Excuse me.
Hold on, Mr. Turia,
all right. So that is the problem that I have. So the problem I have is a lot of our lawmakers. I heard a member of the House of Representatives who appended his signature to Yekeh Kolubah's expulsion from the resolution to expel Yekeh Kolubah from the House of Representatives. And he was asked a very simple question by a Liberian journalist. What provision? And he didn't know. And yet, he's one of the 49th that expelled Yekeh Kolubah. And that is my problem. Do I have a problem with Yekeh Kolubah's, constant denigration of individuals that he disagrees with. I do. Do I have a problem with some others who constantly denigrate people who they disagree with? I think there is an intellectual way to express certain things, but that does not mean that we can curtail, we can sit here and curtail that constitutional right, or the legislators can sit there and curtail their constitutional rights. Dr. Pearson cited it succinctly a section of the Constitution, Article 15 A, B, and C protects Mr. Yekeh Kolubah, unless we're saying that, Yekeh Kolubah citizenship rights have been abrogated. He's no longer a Liberian citizen. He's, some foreign national, someone from space, that he doesn't have any rights on earth. Let us stop doing that. Today is Yekeh Kolubah. It can be any one of us tomorrow. And what we're saying is, first of all, the government has not declared, contrary to Mr. Tule's assertion, which is untrue. The government of Liberia has not declared war in this situation. The government of Liberia has not told us anything about the declaration of war. Hence, this statement is not treasonous. Why are you throwing around treason as if to say that we are in a state of emergency? We are not. This is not a war situation. You saw the president flew to Conakry to engage in dialogue with his Guinean counterpart. And after that meeting, we don't know what went on. We're supposed to be informed. We're supposed to be sitting here hearing from the executive mansion day in and day out. There should be a daily brief of the Liberian people on what is going on in that area. And one more thing that we should be briefed on, or we should be briefed about, is what is this company? Who's BK? Who owns BK? There has never been an attempt by the House of Representatives to summon the owners of this company, the management of this company, to tell us what they were doing in that area. People are saying that this was not just sand mining. They're saying that there were other minerals involved in this. Yekeh Kolubah has accused the president of ownership into that company. So why is it that the Liberian people, why are the legislators not telling the Liberian people? We're paying them. They are paid. Taxpayers' dollars are paying these guys, and they are negligent. They are incompetent. They're not doing their job. They need to tell the Liberian people what is going on at the Guinea-Liberian border in that particular area. They swore to defend the same constitution that everyone else is talking about now. Why aren't they doing their job? They're derelict in discharging their responsibility to the Liberian people. We don't have any information. The reason why Tule and others seem confused is because the government is not.
Who seem confused? I think you seem confused from the way, from your utterances.
We don't have. Excuse me.
Mr. Sherry, you have 30 more seconds.
Yeah, man, he been on the floor forever.
Excuse me.
You have 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Excuse me. You talk for 2 hours. Okay, let Brother Tule go ahead.
Mr. Tule, I have a question for you.
Yes, right? Sir.
I give you.
The Justice Ministry, the Defense Ministry, and do you think the House, the Legislature, could have called them to see what's going on? And second question to that, do you think Yekeh was accorded due process?
All right, thank you. So yes, to your first question, I think that's part of the House responsibility oversight. When things happen like this at the border, you call the responsible line agency for questioning. You want to know what's going on.
That they have not done that, and they are turning to Yekeh. Do you think that they?
No. Okay, so when this whole debacle at the border happened, right? The president called for an emergency or national security meeting that involved all of the actors, the national security actors.
Yeah.
What happened in there, we don't know, right? I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they were handling the situation, at the border. They were trying to find a way, find means to
You
handle
said
that.
immigration and police.
No, I mean it was entire national security.
No, I mean those that went to the border and then the
Oh yeah, yeah,
representative.
yeah. I mean, of course. Look,
So
yo,
why do you think
March.
they have not cited these people to ask them what's going on?
So maybe no. I mean, the process at the border is still ongoing, right?
Yeah, that's
As I
why.
learned, they said the Guineans are still they are still
Right.
some days they are there, some days they are not. We have a lot of conflicting information from the border. You know, everyone that would just pick up cell phone and think that they are journalists, give their own version of what. So
Because
there are a
the
lot of
president is
conflicting.
not briefing the nation about the
So,
security
so
about the
no, there are a lot
border.
of conflicting information. But again, like I said, and I said to you, look, let me tell you one thing. I'm not like seditions, right? We who are part of the rescue mission, we tell our government if they go wrong. And I said this, I was unequivocal when I said this about my government. I said, look, the Ministry of Defense should be held. The president need to call all of the leaders from the defense minister all the way down to whoever that are part of that ministry and ask them this question. But again, the president cannot do that because
Why
he's
do
the
you think
commander
the
in chief.
legislature have not done so? That's what I want to know.
That's literally, I mean, maybe they have their time. They were first talking about the supplementary budget. You know how we have to have the economy going before seditions. Things things not going well. The people suffering and stuff.
And
So
you think
I mean, they have to take care of that.
you think the Yekeh issue is more important than securing our border?
Yekeh issue is very important. Look,
Come on, come on.
hold on. Let me say this. Look, if you don't have the territory, if the nation is if the territory is being seized by foreign power, do you have the ability to govern? You don't. That's a law. Law and order
Securing
is
the border is more important than expelling Yekeh. That's what
Dennis,
no.
there's some of us kind 1 second at least to interject because
Well, my man, you just can't. I mean, wait. Let me finish now. You know, I don't talk too much. You know, I'm not like your ally on the show. He talks a lot, but for me, I won't. Talk. But what I'm saying to you here is right. The legislature that is part of their function, their legislative function to do oversight. So it's on them to invite all the actors to come in there and answer questions. What I am saying to you guys is, and none of them here disagree, that Yekeh's comment was reckless and irresponsible. I want to see who would disagree with me.
Did they do proper and thorough investigation, or did they act too hastily in your estimation?
At first, like you said, Yekeh had a huge opportunity. Yekeh has been in the legislature for at least
Don't
6
go to
years.
that one.
This is his second term, right? Yekeh should have started to lobby with his friends and say, "Gentlemen, I misspoke." The whole partisan thing can kind of sway people's attention, whatever. You got
All right, leave that one.
know,
Do you
I'm
think
a
Yekeh
tough
was
talking
given-
guy, right? But at the end of the day, I'm sorry,
Yes
you
or
forget
no?
about this thing. Let's move on. They give him ample time.
All right. Yes
Then
or
he
no?
insisted that
do
he
you think
he
was
made
given
his
due
words.
process? Do you
Right?
think Yekeh was given due process?
Yes, he was a accountable. Yekeh walked. No, the kind of due process you guys are talking about is quite different. The way the House handled their rules and order and whatever, and how they investigate their memo when it comes to or their behavior and stuff, it's quite different from what happens at the Supreme Court or other regular courts.
Dennis,
You
can I
guys not
just
separating.
interject?
This due process is not as. Oh my God! You allow me when I finish speaking,
hold
you
on.
have the floor.
No,
When I finish speaking, you have the floor to speak, and I will remain quiet.
Mr. Tule,
They asked him to bring his lawyer with him, that his lawyer will sit in and just listen. That whatever issue they have with the rules and order committee, is saying against Yekeh, that they can voice their opinion or their rebuttal through Yekeh. And they refused and they walked out. After such time, when they walked out, it didn't take much, about 10-15 minutes, Yekeh walked out. So who refused due process? Yekeh was the one who said he wasn't listening. He brought it out. Since his lawyer left.
Thank you.
Let's be cognizant that due process in a criminal matter is not the same in a civil matter. It wasn't a criminal matter, so it doesn't rise to the level of somebody being tried for murder. So their due process may be different in that of the criminal court.
The Constitution accord the House of Representatives, the Rules and Order Committee, to have their own due process in there.
Right. So
Let's
yeah,
Dennis,
want to ask you that if
you
you
also let be able to communicate here too, Dennis.
Go ahead. Y'all get our citizen, man.
okay,
I get
no,
our citizen
I
guy
want to
again.
welcome Mr. Gonglo, Mr. Kalabo Gonglo. He's and Kalabo is a veteran of SOUP, the Vanguard Student Unification Party. Say Sao now.
Oh, not so so.
muya.
Welcome, Mr. Gonglo. Okay, like Dr. Pearson, go ahead. Then Mr. Gonglo will come in.
I'm coming for the rescue, man. Why you got lost?
Then please call that party name again. I beg you, lad.
Eu foi muito, né? Ele tá somebody hard car, everybody gonna go for poison.
All right, Dr. Pearson, go ahead, and then Mr. Gonglo will come in.
Yeah, but please call that student party. Let me do justice to call that party name again.
The Vanguard Student Unification Party.
Sao.
So yeah,
in fact, we are having a Vanguard, the head of propaganda, and the secretary will be on focus on Liberia tomorrow.
Okay, so you know, I want to clarify a few things here. One, Evans, the freedom of speech under the Constitution is not restrictive because of the office you hold in government or don't hold in government. Every Liberian is covered by the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia, regardless. Right now, what are the expediency of how to be political, how you speak, and diplomatic, how you speak, then a whole different ball game. But we are all covered by the Constitution when it comes to our freedom. Nobody writes under the freedom of speech. Article 20, Article 15 is curtailed in any manner or faction. Now, let me go to something here, Momo. You cannot establish, first of all, that Yekeh Kolubah is in error for projecting his opinion that information available to him suggests that Guinea owns that land. Now, why it is true that it is contentious? It is a claim, like Kula Fofana posted in the ministerial letter, the minister still letter here put it. It is a claim Liberia is making that we own the property or we own the land. There is no substantive proof provided by this head of state of government, President Boyka, in the state of a nation or by the legislature to say this is definitively the documents that show that we own this piece of land. Now, I say this to say some all came up in high school, from grade school to high school, down to college, learning about Matere Nipo, learning about Bob Braden, and no one ever told me about the Franco-Liberian treaties. The Franco, and for those who just listening, it was because of this issue that I went to research and I came across the Franco-Liberian treaties. The Franco-Liberian treaties that discussed they used to call it the Banjo Convention, happened December 8, 1892, the first session. Then they went further into it in September 18, 1907, where they signed the first agreement about border, they establishing the border, what they call French Guinea at the time, in the Liberia side. And then by 1911, rather, the agreement was signed by 1911. But I'm saying this to say that have our government or our government officials or our legislators gone to research these things to see what those colonial arrangements and treaties and conventions projected concerning the Liberian conflict of land? No. I hear no official government. I hear no scholars in Liberia. I hear no foreign minister or a foreign ministerial agent from Liberia. I don't even hear anything from the presidential advisors on Franco-Liberian treaties. Nobody say anything, and that was discussed the Banjo Convention of Liberia and Guinea. Now, I go a step further. The Constitution, Article 6 says, the Republic shall, because of the vital role assigned to the individual citizen under this Constitution, that is the second time using this Constitution, under this Constitution, for the social, economic, and political well-being of Liberia, provide equal access to educational opportunities and facilities for all citizens to the extent of available resources. Continue. Emphasis shall be placed on the mass education of the Liberian people and the elimination of illiteracy.
Where you going with this, Dr. Pearson?
I'm saying to you, we having all the argument about land, and there are facts sitting down somewhere from the boundary conventions between France and Liberia called the Franco-Liberian Treaties. We did not learn it in school. We did not read those things. We're learning American history. We're learning European history. We're learning war history. We did not learn our own history today to defend ourselves. If Guinea know their history and they can claim their land, and Yekeh Kolubah maybe when I saw Guinea own history and say, oh, from what I see Guinea history, Guinea own their land. What are we saying?
Dr. Pearson, you're a smart guy. Have you heard of
Hold on. Okay. Hold on.
Listen,
I'm not saying your time over. Your time over.
Yeah, it's too much. They are too division and talk too much.
Let me tell you. The bottom I'm getting is that lack of education and emphasis on education is our problem. Not Yekeh Kolubah.
Thank you. Everybody make reference to the rules, right? The House rules. What did the House rules say? And I'm going to read something about due process in the House rule, right? What did the House rules say? Which part of the House rule did Yekeh Kolubah violate?
It is the Constitution. The Constitution is part of the House rule.
What?
Dennis? That's what I'm telling you.
Hold on, let him read it, please. I want to hear it. I want to learn.
Evans, when you disagree with your man, you must say it. The man said that Yekeh violated the Constitution.
Yeah, why I say that? I want him to allow you to read it so we can see if there's anything that.
We have an oath of office.
What does that mean?
That oath of office is a constitution, and it is part of the House rule.
Start repeating the same thing, you misled people.
No, I'm telling you so that it can be repetitive so that you know.
He can both violate the House rule and the Constitution and can be held liable for both. He took an oath to uphold the Constitution. So anything that he did that contravened that oath in upholding the Constitution, he can be held responsible for that action.
Exactly.
Evans, I talk to lawyers, and you know I know everything, right? If Yekeh had conspired with the Guinean authority.
That's what I said earlier, yeah.
If he had done so to give land to Guinea or to send email to do something, or just by saying, oh, from the record I have, that land belongs to Guinea, and you say that he's giving land to Guinea, is that? But let me read it out, right? Just about due process. It says the House shall take disciplinary measures against any member who violates or fails to comply with the House ethics and procedure specified in this rule. And why Yekeh they want to see whether it's in this rule. Where any member is aware of the existence of the breach of the code of conduct, they talk about that one, the request will be presented pursuant to Chapter 11 of this rule. The Speaker shall refer the matter to the Committee on Rules and Order. The House, after examining the report and recommendations submitted by the committee, shall render its decision, and the decision shall be final. Any member against whom the request which demands the taking of disciplinary step is presented has the right to due process of law. Any request for disciplinary measure to be taken shall be barred after a year from the date of the alleged violation of the Code of Conduct. The request shall not be transferred to the next term of the House. The House may, according to the circumstance and degree of breach, take the following measures. 1, it may give an oral warning. B, it may give a written warning. C, it may suspend a member for not more than 30 days of meeting and stop the payment of salary and allowance due him for the days of suspension as the case may be. Then the last one, it may expel a member from the House where the breach is very serious or where it is committed repeatedly. Let me bring in Mr. Gonglo. Mr. Gonglo, I know you have listened to her a lot. I'll stop there and bring you.
Yes, I listen. Thank you. I'm happy to be back on Focus on Liberia again with the guys that have been here all along, Elvis, Clarence, and Mohammed. Before I just proceed with what I want to say, I just want to ask a simple question first. I have a lot of respect for this veteran, Mr. Tule. It's my understanding that he served in the U.S. military. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just a quick question for you. Is the U.S. at war with Iran?
Of course we are at war with Iran.
Not officially.
We are at war with Iran, but the president did not go to the proper channel, but we are at war still. Yeah.
Okay, by your flow. Yeah. So thank you for being truthful. The reason I'm asking the question, do you believe the act by other congressmen, both Republican and Democrat, saying that America was wrong to go to war against Iran, and the United States acting on false information that Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons, they are not near, they were not about to attack the United States, that President Trump is lying. Is that treasonable act?
It's not treasonable.
Wow.
It's not. Thank you. I love that question. Thank you for look. First of all, before America goes to war, the president has to go to Congress. And
you just admitted
that hold on. Let me speak. In order to declare war, I'm going to be very short.
Please.
In the absence of that, anything else outside of that, it gives every congressman the right to criticize him. It gives them the right because he gives them the ammo to criticize. He gives them the ammo to criticize. But the one thing that those congressmen won't do to say death to America or to stand with Iran against America, they would not say that.
They're not saying that Texas belongs to Mexico. That would, I think, in my case, that would be seditious or treasonous.
Thank you. They would never say that, but they would.
They can criticize the action of the president and the administration, but they would never concede land to another country.
So that is completely different from what we have in Liberia.
I asked Elvis to speak, or I asked Momo, rescue Momo to talk.
Sorry, Mr. Koba.
So let me just make my point here, because I listen to the
rescue all night. They're rescuing all night.
So, like, for example, Elvis have made some point. You know, our constitution asserts that every man is equal before the law. Every Liberian is equal before the law. Whether you are president, you are a representative, you are senator, you are minister, we are all equal before the law. Is that true? And this is true. So that means the constitution, protects our fundamental rights, be it what I would say natural or not natural law, our right to freedom, our right to liberty. These are natural laws. These are God-given rights. No man gives that right. We have right to freedom. So it is protected. In the olden time, under the penal code, sedition was a law that if you speak, say something against maybe the government, free speech, that has been repealed. Under President Weah, it was repealed. So there's no more sedition under the law. So if they have sedition, maybe, the act or the statement by Yekeh Kolubah could be classified under that. But under our constitution, what Yekeh Kolubah did is actually a protected speech under our constitution. Whether he's a representative or not, he is protected under the law to express his opinion. Now, in our law, the constitution is very clear on that. Treason is an act, it's not a verbal expression. It's an active action. You have to take action to say, maybe you are engaging in some, you conniving with enemy forces. Right. It's not just like, yeah. So in law, you can say if somebody says something that the person does not have the capacity to do what they say, there's no effect on that. And to Momo and Elvis who argued on this, if the statement by Yekeh Kolubah, if we were violator, if we were criminal, because the House is not a forum for criminal adjudication of criminal cases. The police or the Ministry of Justice or the NSA, some armed security forces will have moved to investigating. Because being a representative or a senator or an elected official does not protect you against the commission of crime. If you commit crime, there are so many instances where senators and representatives have been arrested because they were accused of committing crime. Just the allegation alone. Even though some of them went to court, they were exonerated, but they were arrested and put in jail. It doesn't protect you. So what Yekeh Kolubah did, the fact that the Solicitor General Augustine Fayad, the fact that the police, the fact that the Ministry of Justice or NSA has not moved to investigate Yekeh, they know that it was protected under the a part of a free speech. Now, and I'm going to say this, You know, like we'll talk more on this, and I'll reveal this, and I'd like to go on record. Not like Yekeh Kolubah, but similar to that. I actually has been speaking to people in Lofa, particularly in the Kwadu Bondu area of late. For the past 4 days, I've spoken to them because I've taken interest in this case. You know, what has come to light, because along the border, like in Nimba, you got the same amount of people in Guinea, the same amount of people in Liberia. In Africa Coast, the same Geo people in Liberia. You know, in the southeast, the same group of people in Africa Coast, the same group of people in Liberia. So we have that colonial boundary, right? So in Lofa, it has just been an undeclared or unspoken thing. They know where the Guinean came to occupy. My information, and I can speak publicly to that now because I respect those people who gave me the information. That place prior to the crisis, the Guineans were there. What you call Liberia today, the Guineans were there. It was not for Liberia. But during the Civil War, because Guinea was playing a role in ECOMOG, and Taylor was occupying Lofa, the MPF forces were occupying Lofa, Guinean government made a strategic decision to withdraw their armed forces or immigration officers across the river so that they don't come in contact with MPF forces, so they can't have a conflict. That is what they did. And because these are common travel group, both in Liberia and in Guinea, they've been there making fun across, you know, the river, across this, that. They will all move together. It's not an issue. What sparked the issue really is the local population believe that there is diamond or whatever in the Macono River. When the now minister, the current minister of Internal Affairs, or now Minister of Local Government, started to dredge the river under the guise of mining sand. The spread in Guinea in the local area, the Liberian people were taking diamond from that river. That's how the whole thing started to cascade.
You should be alleging here. You should be alleging. You're sounding so definitive. Come on, keep you doing that.
Well, Momo, your own government has conducted investigation. Are you aware that they constituted a committee when the president came from Guinea to look into the same money? Can you admit to that? That report is actually out.
There is an ongoing investigation, but Francis Yimale clearly said if his name is ever part of that, he should be dismissed. So it's still an allegation, and you should be treating it as such. But for you to be so definitive in your utterances, so it's very troubling to me.
From what I know, that report has been completed and is waiting for presidential action. Normally, is mentioned in there that the same manner. So let me give you the other information I got from Lofa. The Lofa University, I'm going to be quick then so I don't take all the time. Right. The Lofa University, when they were constructing the Lofa University, the same money was done in the same river, but they were using shovel. So it didn't raise any concern.
They were using an old machine. This machine they're using now is newer by a different company.
Where they used shovel, for my information. They didn't use mechanized form like dredging. When Thomas Fowler built a city hall in Foya, they also mined sand in the same river, but using just young people go that dig sand along the river. That's all they did. They did not use dredge machines, so the people didn't have a problem with that. But the use of dredge is the cause of the problem today. Why will it be a problem? Because the people know the land is for them. So they just asserted a right. And I can say this because I've spoken to people and people. And for me, patriotism, and I think what Yekeh is accused of doing is patriotism. And I think it should be honored. Patriotism is saying the truth to powerful people or to power that be. Because when you say the truth and you save the country from war, that's patriotism. We should say the truth because we say the truth, we save the country from calamity, we save the country from war. That's why we should think to our country to say the truth, Mr. Momo. Let's say the truth so our country cannot be dragged to war. If we pretend to cover up, then we are not being patriotic. And I think Momo and Elvis are unpatriotic tonight.
Oh.
Thank you. And somebody was telling me, say, Kalebo has a history of conspiracy. So I said, no, Kalebo.
Let me come in here, please, Mr. Job. You permit me, please.
I want to announce the number so that we can have our callers. I know we've said a lot, and on due process. That's why I read that, and also protected free speech. But if you want to be part of the conversation, the number is on the screen: 605-313-6004. The code is 791403#. Evans, you have 30 seconds. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Look, what Mr. Gongler said here, I don't know if any of us can verify what he said about the land,
Yeah,
being
me too.
Guinea's land. But also, I don't know in this country we have what what is called adverse possession. So if your neighbor, for example, neglects a piece of their land and you cultivate that land, you manage that land for a certain amount of years, sometimes 10, sometimes 20 years, that land legally now belongs to you. So if you're making a claim that Guinea deserted that land because of the civil war, so maybe 30 years ago, and the Liberian government has been, administering, that land and pretty much cultivating and taking care of that land for the last 20 years, then it belongs to us. But I'm not even sure that's the case because those people who live on that land have been living there for a long time. They didn't just come there during the 1990s. They've been there for a while. And Guinea has never made claim to that land, and it never said anything about, claiming that land to be their land. It's Liberia's land. Don't try to twist yourself and press us
Thank
to
you.
concede our territory to another foreign nation.
Thank you, my
That's
brother.
all.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That
Thank you
is
so much
why
for
it's
sharing
true
that.
that what Gonglo said cannot be substantiated. Also, what you said, I mean, government of Labrador being a minister in that land, all these things, they are just a matter of conjectures. There is no way that we can really validate what you said. I've interviewed a lot of people on that. That area, like what Gonglo said that is correct is we have a kissing triangle. All the people living there, they are families. So they have not really for a long time. They have not, there is no like they live like family.
Do the people
According
consider
to
themselves Liberian?
which people?
The people that are in that town
The
that Guinea came
Solomba,
and
yeah, the
inflicted
Solomba,
effect.
the Solomba era.
That,
And
that
again, let me
tower
clarify.
I'm saying they say
that tower
what have been
information is
going
more
on there.
important
Hold on, Mr.
than the
Gonglo.
people that come.
What have been going on there is not anything defined, say border or not border. What
So
they've
there's a
been
border there. Our
they,
flag is there. By virtue of our
they
flag
have
being
lived,
planted over there,
they have lived.
I'm not
Hold
the
on,
mama my kitchen.
Mr. Momo, I've interviewed people from that town.
But
I've
I'm
talked
from
to them.
Lofa. That's my hometown. I wonder you guys forgetting my name. My name is Momo Tamatule. That's my
What
hometown.
does that have to do with
It
this?
has to do with it because I have
Mr.
some
Momo, what
relevant
I'm saying
information.
is,
That place has been, look, our flag has been hosted over there for over 20, 30, 40 years. There, that place.
Momo, all of respect. Can't answer me. Momo, all of respect.
we'll
Have
take
you
a,
read about the Franco-Liberian treaties?
I have never read about it. You brought your own history, so we'll go and research that later. We're
we'll
gonna
take
go
a
into that
short
right
break.
now, please.
We'll take a
I
The
short
bet.
break
reason
when
I'm
we
asking
come
because
back.
you are trying to discuss a
We're going to take a
formal
short break when
issue
we come back, then we bring
informally.
on our
You
callers.
don't
No,
want
we
to do
wait.
that.
You can see the development and improvement here. And this is what bus is having with Facebook. And the bus is having on this recommendation, this is the best to do. Go, corruption, go. There's no way around the Environmental Protection Agency, and I can say that for fact.
All right, we have our
That's my
callers
leader
here.
down there. That's my leader. That's
We
my
have callers
yeah.
here. The first caller
I call
is
you UP man.
Oh no, man. I'm a
Call your
UP
name and
member.
where you're calling
I
from. Please
respect
go
your own.
ahead.
Your is my guy. I'm a Uber, I'm a papi.
Okay, that's good.
Go ahead. Your question or comment?
Yeah, a comment and a question. My question is the guy who says that Yekeh was saying the truth. Did he tell her when he honored what a truth is? Did Yekeh provide any evidence to prove that what he was saying is true? Or, what determined truth?
Exactly.
And also so things of Paul Evans and the other guy.
It's called Momo.
A certain lawmaker took off sovereignty of the state. If he is claiming that the land, that his sovereignty on which he was elected into the House of Rep is owned by another country, knowing very well that the country have come to and hosted the flag on the land for which you so and so to protect. And you went on national TV to tell the whole world that this land is not for the country in which your sovereignty you bear. The country that elected you, you say the land is not for them, the land is for you. What proof did he present to validate that the land belongs to him, for which he needs to be vindicated from suspension or expulsion?
Thank you.
Those are some of my questions.
Thank you. Please take note. We have more caller here. Mr. Cecil Frank. Frank, you're alive. Go ahead, sir. Cecil Frank, are you there?
Hello to you, judges, and to the panelists. On the issue that is being discussed on your show this evening. First of all, you need to understand something. Liberia is should be a constitutional democracy. And what we are witnessing with this Yekeh saga is that the country is backsliding on democracy and the tenets of democracy. This is not the first time. It happened during the time when Speaker of Natu was illegally and unconstitutionally removed from his post. It's the second time. And with respect to what Yekeh said, which we have precipitated his expulsion, there was no grounds whatsoever for this expulsion or even to discuss this matter. Yekeh made his comment, and whether he had the right, it was a constitutional protected statement to read. And if the legislature or anybody had issue with it, what they should have done at most was to censure Yekeh to show disapproval of what he said and not to expel him. And unfortunately, it seems that Liberian legislature do not know parliamentarianism.
Thank you.
To expulsion, which is a politically motivated action.
Thank you.
Not a constitutional and lawful action. Secondly, an elected official cannot be removed by an appointed official under the Liberian Constitution. That means the police director who letter was read in sessions as the basis for Yekeh's expulsion.
That's not true.
I'm not saying the police director should not have written that down in his place. If anything, the legislator should have, as I said, they should have censured Yekeh as a maximum action. It is the prerogative of Yekeh's constituency to remove him.
Thank you.
Through election or through a recall. They have the prerogative to remove him, not a letter of police director being read as evidence against Mr. Yekeh that he committed treason. It seems that these lawmakers do not even know the concept and understanding of treason.
Thank you. No, they didn't charge him. They didn't charge him with treason. They said
they never used the police. They never used.
There was no code of, according to the rule of politics, there was no code of no violation of ethics or anything. Because
thank you.
There was not in session. There was nothing in session that would have prohibited Yekeh from speaking what he said.
Thank you.
So, applying rule 48 as the basis will have no ground. You should understand.
Thank you.
The rules of the House is not above the Constitution of Liberia.
Yeah.
Yekeh is an elected representative.
Thank you.
Just simply call for being a session to expel him because he made a comment. That's his right.
Yeah.
I repeat that. Situation with Yekeh is another dark cloud over Liberia and shows the competence of the lawmaker, but it also shows the spinelessness of the executive. Where's the president?
Thank you. Thank you.
Liberia has had serious issue with constitutional issues.
Thank you, Mr. Frank.
Liberia needs to focus on
Is the caller hearing you?
Territorial integrity.
Thank you.
Yeah, you keep saying thank you. The minute you say agreeing with a point, you gotta let him go.
Mr. Frank. Mr.
I don't think
Frank.
he's hearing him.
Mr. Frank, we got a lot of callers, so let's make it sure. Thank you very much for your contribution.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, let me go to Mr. Gibson Jeru.
How you doing, my people?
Oh Lord, listen.
Without wasting my time, I got problem with the premise made by my brother Tule.
I understand you're coming from me.
Come from and was, it's from Lofa. I got a serious problem with his premise. I think we need to follow historical perspective. When Nigeria had been occupying a parcel of land that's supposed to belong to Cameroon for years and years and years. And then the Cameroonian requested for the land, and Nigeria dispatched their troops to protect that land. They went to the International Criminal Court, and the court said, oh, even though you've been living there for this amount of years, but the place is not yours. So the fact that Liberia planted a flagpole at a certain locality does not mean that it is for Liberia. I'm not arguing that it's not even for Liberia, but that premise has a flawed analysis. So I don't think it should be a premise that you should, Liberia was there before Guinea, therefore the place is for Liberia. Those are flawed analysis. My problem with this entire Yekeh thing, I'm maintain, as I always have, that what Yekeh said was all a matter of freedom of speech. They use the sedition qualification for crime to deal with Yekeh, because under sedition, your statements against the state or national security can be used as a pretext to get you prosecuted. But sedition was outlawed. So from the beginning, it was about treason, and then later they changed it to improper action. But if they want to do that, after the Constitution said, when the lawmakers making, any comments, why going, why coming from? I don't know where was Yekeh at the time, whether he came from.
He was on a radio program.
Yeah, okay, he was on a radio program.
The man on Spoon Talk. That is Spoon Talk. He was on Spoon Talk.
My problem is due process was not adequately exhausted because the people came with a mindset. They came for 10 days, according to themselves. They came for 10 days and they must execute the 10 days.
Thank you.
All the things they came for before they leave. And so this was premeditated. It was uncalled for. It was unnecessary. And they just did something that Liberia is going to think about for a long time. This is a flouting of our legal process.
Thank you.
And our judicial, our legislative process. I think I disagree with them on that.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Our last caller here is Feng Soklote. Go ahead, Soklo.
Thank you, Dennis. What really troubles me is that our government have not come up with any information to inform the Liberians. The Guineans are far more informed about the border area than Liberians. Why our government is so muted when it comes to this thing? No Liberians know anything about where the border should be. Our government is not like in the Liberian layman terms, in a case that this is our land. I can't beg any kind of our border. For some of those guys that go on Facebook, taking people, they look on there. One of the guys said, if this land belongs to Guinea, I don't want to know where I'm going to be. I don't mind being in here or being in Liberia. But if we have no information, if our government is not telling us anything, that this land belongs to Liberia or it doesn't belong to Liberia, President going to Guinea came back muted. Nothing. Even if they classify, you can't break it down there. Let's say a declassified version that the Liberia post are going to consume to know where we stand. I don't understand it. Where are we going with this? How do we know Yekeh is right or he's not wrong or he's not right? but we don't even know where the border is. Well, government not telling us where we have our border. So, Mr. Telugu Bongro, your brother, Captain Bongro, had a video stating that he went to Guinea, and I think there was someone told me about there was an agreement between Secretary and I think President Tubman about the border. Do you know any? I've been trying to retake that to see whether there's any document to that.
No.
Do you have any idea? Do you have any information about it?
No, he said somebody told him when he was.
I hear you, man.
If you talk to him, I've spoken to him. I have no idea.
Yeah. He didn't reference any document as far as I know. But thank you, Soglo, for your contribution. I have an analysis on focus on Liberia where I also say about the president not speaking. Even when it comes to the border, it comes to the student demonstration, we should hear from the president. But
the other Bobo president too, Jaya or living
the president spoke. Then you've been unfair to the president. He spoke about our border. He talked about it.
But Momo really fair. When he came back, he didn't address the nation of what really happened.
Yeah, maybe he was
a national security concern.
Yeah, maybe he was advised by the national security team to keep it in-house.
The last caller is a sedition. Terry Tell Lion Yakun. Go ahead, Terry.
Oh my goodness.
Because I don't want you to say it because you take up time introducing yourself. So let me say it.
Well, I have my sedition, you know, understand. This is Terry Tell Lion Yakun from Fargo, North Dakota. Well, thanks for allowing me. On the issue of the Yekeh Kolubah issues, actually the way he spoke, God has not reached to the point to be, expelled. But we all know, everybody knows that Joseph Wada is, criticizing Yekeh due to what those guys from Lofa, Tomopala, the Channel Affairs Minister, President Bwaga, who knows what President Bwaga actually, he came from Guinea or Sierra Leone is president. But what I understand is that land has already been sold out by Mr. Bwaga, President Bwaga, Tomopala, those people that came from Guinea have Guinea connections and say Liberian.
Then you got to be correcting the kind of men on your show. Seriously. Yeah.
Who corrected you? When you say
this kind of guy? He's sort of unfounded information he's putting out there, bunch of lies. You need to stop. This is a very credible show. You can't allow a man like that to
finish.
Gibberish.
All us are entitled to the opinion, Mr. Tula.
Impeach President Baka, the Channel Affairs Minister, those who are involved in the illegal money activities or impeach them, our land. And Mr. Baka is not saying anything because what they have the ulterior motives to get our land as far as where. Because this one is bringing a marshal over there. Once the ulterior motive, no one knows. It will be very, very hard for the Nigerian people.
Thank you.
So we talk about impeaching him, but Yekeh Kolubah is a distraction. Okay? It is a distraction. That's why he did that. A distraction. So being impeaching her, punishing her for being legal money on it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr.
There's an information he got, but he's the one that's creating this problem, and they try to go out country into a serious problem.
Thank you.
Just let me stop
Thank you. Those are all the callers we have tonight, and I know you have your responses, but let's talk about President Bwaga. I personally, as President Bwaga has spoken enough about the crisis in the country. Starting with the bottom, what I'm used to is a monthly radio broadcast from our president to hear from him. We've taken like 5 years to invite President Bouaka and focus on my brother. He has not worked.
Right.
The president got an energy for that, Mr. John. It's too much work.
Yeah. Okay. You
I think
could say
Mr.
that.
Tule to answer that question first.
But let's what has President Bouaka, what has been his role? Because the president, you especially in terms of crisis, you can lead from behind, right? We want a president who can communicate with the Liberian people. Like the student demonstration, it was bad. The students were brutalized, and after that, the police director said, "Hey, we drop our charges." In this kind of situation, we want a president who will speak to us as to what happened. What do you think President Bouaka has played his role well, or again, he has abdicated his duty to talk to us through his press secretary or the information minister, who sometimes, kind of go over the bar. Yeah, let's talk about President Bouaka's role in this crisis. Has he spoken to us enough? And please be 30 seconds because we have to close in the next 5 minutes. Elvis, today, and let's talk about President Bouaka's role. Go ahead, Elvis.
Yeah, so I think the president has spoken to the nation, especially on the issue of national interest, especially with the border, some protests, and some other things that's been happening. And I don't know why Liberian presidents don't think that they need to speak to the nation and address the people on the happenings of the country, especially when it's a big national issue. And I don't know. I think maybe they don't take the citizenry, important or seriously enough to, to speak to them to inform them. And that was one of the criticisms people have of President we had. They thought it was because, he couldn't speak as well, he couldn't read, all the things. And that's the criticism we have about President Boyka, right? He's well learned, he can speak, he articulates points, but for some reason he doesn't think that the country needs to be kept informed on this issue. And lastly, I would say this, Mr. Tule, if the president had a negotiation, usually the press people will come and give you the maybe the crux of the issue that was discussed, and maybe if any breakthrough was made, give us the good news, or that this will be an ongoing negotiation through the diplomatic channels. But none of those was said, and I think you can criticize your president for not doing such a thing.
Mr. Momo, does the president respect the Liberian people enough to brief them regularly?
Of course he does. When the president came back from Guinea, he had a press conference. I think he addressed the nation, not even a press conference.
Press conference? He had never had a
No, he addressed the nation. No, he addressed the nation. The president addressed the nation on.
You're sitting down in your chair sleeping.
Oh my God! You see, allow me to. Yesterday, the man never spoke. Now I'm trying to remind you guys that he did speak.
Okay, what did he say? What did he say?
He only told the nation that look, there are ongoing negotiation. He spoke with his counterpart in Guinea. He could not go in depth because Dennis, because you gave me 30 seconds.
What did the president say happened at the Liberian Guinea border?
Look, they had a discussion. He had a discussion with counterpart, and we all know. We all saw the visitation by the president and the.
I'm not saying that. What has the president told the nation happened at the Liberian Guinea border?
He said to the nation that they are using every diplomatic effort to resolve the issue.
Which issue?
Problem with the encroachment. There is a current encroachment of the foreign.
But since then, has he updated us?
Did the president say Guinea?
And now, you know what? I'm going to say this, right? And again, unlike sedition, I have my own reservation as a rescue follower, right? Because I'm not. I have voiced my disagreement with a lot of different things, like especially those who are.
Is the president communicating with us regularly? That the way we.
Okay, so like you said, the president, there was a demonstration with the UL students and this and that. Why we disagree with a lot of things that the police did to those students? Not everything that happened that the president will president
let
me speak.
Which one he ever spoke on?
He spoke on the border stuff.
It's been months. He hasn't updated us, bro.
So, again, that's what I said, right? That's why I criticize those who are surrounding the president, like the.
Oh, come on, criticize the president himself.
Hold on. Let me speak though. Let me just give my mind, right? Though the buck stops at the president, he has Everything started by him. So he should mount the podium like everybody else who was that disagreement with him. I also do. That sometimes, at least, people, I mean, especially when it comes to the issue of the border, where there are a lot of conflicting information coming from there, people just grabbing cell phone, bringing their own version of what's going on at the border. That it is imperative that the president continue to update the nation. It couldn't be. It might not be through him directly, but it could be through his line ministry, like the Ministry of Defense, like we have here in the U.S., like the Department of Defense. You see the Chief of Defense Staff mount the podium every time to tell the press what's going on with the war in Iran. That's why I disagree with some of the guys that work within the rescue government that they are not doing the job.
It is too important to delegate.
Thank you.
She speak to us directly.
Mr. Gongulo, let's talk about the president communicating with the people online. And I believe if we are communicated, we will still be president today. But he was not talking. Mr. Gongulo.
Well, I think it's a counterfactual argument to make because we don't have the data on that to analyze it. But with the aggressive propaganda that the Unity Party used against the CDC, I'm not a sedition, but I think it was difficult for CDC to survive of that because this 2023 election was the first election where the social media force were used to affect the outcome of the election. But the sad thing is, Dennis, President Bouazizi has not spoken enough to the public, both on national issues and even on the issue of the economy. Things are tough. He set up a committee headed by the Vice President Price Control Committee. The report is submitted to him. He doesn't come back to the public to say, I received the report on the Price Control Committee. Here is the action the government is taking. We are yet to hear that, but all we hear is, oh, the Vice President has done his way, he submitted. But where is the outcome? Prices are skyrocketing. People are crying. The economy is in the toilet in Liberia. And with the effect of the Iran war, our people are suffering, and the president is silent. The president is actually AWOL. He's MIA in office on the economy. The president is MIA on the Guinea crisis. Like Mr. Momo was, or Mr. Tula was talking, he is a rescue general. But if you want to parallel that with the United States here, the Ministry of National Defense in Liberia, show me one evidence where they've spoken to the press. Zero.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you on that one. I agree with you.
You know, it's like comparing apple and oranges.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you on that one.
It's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Liberia. The issue of border incursion, in your view, the president is not speaking. And the fact that the president is quiet, it points to only the suspicion that the land belongs to Guinea. That's why you can talk.
Nah, I disagree on that one, but that's been
okay. I know you don't have to agree with everything I say. Let me end on this.
I thought you were going to say the suspicion that the machine belongs to him.
And Yekeh also made a claim that the president sold the land to Guinea. That was a
that's why he's no longer representing.
I need to end my statement, Elvis.
Yeah,
some people claim that I believe in conspiracy theory. But if you come from a country like Liberia, where official information are hidden, you are only left to speculate. I've also gathered information that, and it's evidential. The fact is, in 2024, the police director and the NSA boss, Mr. Johnson, Prince Johnson, did visit Conakry with the Guinean government, and they discussed national security matter, and money was given, allegedly money was given to them to come and provide Guinean government some critical intelligence information on Guineans living in Liberia. The government of Guinea believes that they are involved in planning things that are counterproductive against the Guinean government. They didn't take action on that. In fact, the Guinean government followed up by giving 10 pickups to the Liberian security forces to enhance their intelligence gathering and all of mobility. The government also did not act on that. The government is yet to speak to the public on the reason why a poor country like Guinea will get 10 10 pickers to Liberia.
No,
So
they
all
say
these
that
official
follow
information are
when
not.
we hindered.
Man, that can't gesture, man. Don't do that.
The Mano River Union
I'm not
collaboration
a
is a
real
bongo.
thing, man.
Thank you.
Man.
They say that
So
follow
that's how he's
after.
getting the 10 million. So the $10 million
Incredible guy,
cash
a
out
problem
is
guy
also
too.
money.
Thank you.
So-
You know, Labrador handed over a Guinean citizen who was in Labrador. They handed over into the junta, the military junta, right? Because they wanted him, and probably they have killed him. Justice Janet was his
Allegedly.
lawyer, and it was reported that it was after that handover that Guinea gave the pickups. But the president is not speaking.
That was a different thing, but different day.
Dr. Pearson, they say where there is no ERBC, they say take over. Is that what we are saying in Liberia? The president is not speaking to us.
Thank you, Dennis. You know, I think we are expecting too much of President Boycott. You know, when you look at some societies, some countries, like even here where a lot of us are, by the time you hit your early 80s, mid 80s, going to your 90s, look, people are looking for assisted living facilities for you. I do not say this in any form of insult. I'm saying this in the interest of the severity of what it takes to be a head of state. Former President Joe Biden was the president of the United States of America, trying to go for a second term in similar age level, with as advanced as America is, with all of the provisions for him as president. The nation knew exactly that he, at his age, would not be able to keep up with what is required for the level of responsibility due that office. It's not disrespect. It's the respect for nature. And if you were to ask what is his name or Jeremiah Kuhn, you will verify exactly what I'm saying. According to Jeremiah Kuhn, it is the fact of nature. And I do not expect President Boakai to be making speeches like he expected we are to do. He said we are a bobo. He said it on camera. We are is a bobo president. So I don't expect him to speak as we are will speak. What I've heard from President Boakai, if it's not pre-recorded or given a script that he does not even know the validity of the information on the script, like the last State of the Nation address, which are full of misinformation, it will just be few words. You cannot eat a roll, but the roll can feed you. Go in making music, right?
Traditional man making me powerful.
We are intellectually handicapped. You already know that, so don't even talk that here.
Every time he make a bunch of hooligans when they're building, every time he made those incoherent statements that he tried to project as a leader, it does not help the problem. Now, my friend and brother here, Momo, said that just gaining planting your flag is an aggression against the state of the Republic of Liberia. It is saddening to me that he's making an argument for a land that Guinea put flag on that he has not read any substantive records.
Man, that team will read it. I already downloaded it.
Listen, my brother. I told you I went to school in Liberia, I learned about John Kese, I learned about Matera Nipo. Nobody taught me about the legitimacy of our lands, our borders. In 3 months from now, Liberia will be 179 years old as an independent nation. We yet have not understood where our border is. And we who are the oldest independent country cannot go over to Guinea and go to Guinea and say Guinea based on international treaties that we've signed between our colonial powers before you even became Guinea, when you're called French Guinea. Yeah, it's the defined borders. You cannot say that, and the president cannot even come and put the country at ease. As we speak today, President Boakai said the people have agreed to leave the land. Today, the people stay there, and the people have built a structure there to reside in while they are there right now. What does that say to us? And the president has said nothing. So, look, listen, I would say this. I don't expect President Boakai to say anything to me. I don't expect anything genuine to come out of the Ministry of Information, because Jeremy Lepia and Sano Johnson, they just curse, right? They just insult people and they dwell on propaganda. So what I would say is this, Dennis. I admonish my sister at the Ministry of Education, include an aggressive historical content, Liberian historical content in our curriculum that will teach Liberians today that tomorrow will not get people that Momo come on the radio
Let me say, okay, Dennis. Once, let me just put it last comment. When we were going to school back, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 46. When we were going to school back home in Liberia, there wasn't a digital age. There were no history books like the one. Look, it was not easy to do research. We were in school in Liberia. I'm 46 years old. You don't
All right.
understand this?
Movie for the years, so he
Can I learn?
Thank you.
Momo, can I learn? No, I want to learn. If we are making,
Your time finished.
I want to learn now. If we are making argument that somebody's statement in terms of who owns what, a country 179 years old cannot definitively say these are the international protocol that define the territorial confines of our nation as the first black republic in Africa. You cannot do that. What do we expect from South Africa that got countries in countries? In the Southern Africa, where they get
they got taking too much time. Oh, Dennis, it's so unfair. Give them too much time.
Made the PhD order.
30 seconds. 30 seconds. They may talk about 1 or 2 minutes.
Thank you. Let me
Yeah, PhD order. He deserves time.
Mohammed,
Yes.
I was discussing with somebody about the land and how President Bouaka is not talking
I know
about
you favor sedition on the show here that they're looking biased to you. But sedition.
What were you wanting? Election, my man. What are you so angry for? You're in power.
I'm not angry. I'm happy. I'm happy.
The guy said, he said, Dennis, he said when your wife catch you somewhere, you can't talk loud. When the woman want make noise, you say, let go, don't do that. He said that's how the Bouaka is behaving. I mean, Guinea invaded Liberia, an act of war. The president playing cool. He went to Guinea, he came from there, he said, oh, everything over, they shook hands, and they were there. Why is it that a Guinean man is shouting and President Bouaka is whispering? Is it because President Bouaka, Liberia is at fault? Tiawan say Gonglo, Councillor Gonglo, a lawyer who is a compromised, when I say people have not compromised, it's a consensus candidate. A lot of people from different parties say, no matter what it is, we trust this guy's judgment. The mayor said President Bouaka should investigate and hold the president, because the issue here is people are alleging that the Minister of Local Government is the one who is doing illegal mining in the Makona River. That's why the Guineans seize our equipment. And President Bouaka should investigate. He said if President Bouaka does not investigate, it means that President Bouaka, is in cahoots. And so he will lead an impeachment against him. Why is President Bouaka not talking to us about this crisis?
President Bouaka doesn't speak on anything. So for that reason, he has been derelict on several issues. This is what I'm going to say, and maybe the rescue heroes here will be happy. In the initial days of the Guinean encroachment, I put that in quotation mark, Bouaka raised to Conakry on a diplomatic mission. So that was a great move. So when he went to Conakry, so Doumbouya has a lot of respect for Joseph Bouaka. I think he trusts Bouaka's wisdom. So when he visited Doumbouya along with Julius Maada Bio from Sierra Leone, who also has his own issues with Doumbouya. So Doumbouya then pulled back Guinean troops from Solomba to the edge of the Makona River, where it is claimed that is, so that puts the entire river into Guinean territory, not the town of Solomba. So nobody, no Liberian is living at the edge of the border. This was because of the diplomatic move initiated by the Liberian government. But before President Bouaka's visit to Conakry, Doumbouya had commissioned a contingent of Guinean forces that morning to dispatch them to the border with the message that Guinea would never cede any territory to any nation. So this was a very bellicose language to the Guinean people that Doumbouya made that morning, standing on the roof of his military jeep, basically, with the commander, and he handed the flag of the Guinean state
I
to the
saw that. Yeah.
commander,
I
to
saw
the
that.
commander,
Yeah.
right? So to the commander of the Guinean contingent that was dispatched to the border. But that morning, or perhaps the next day, Boaka showed up. Boaka came with Julius Madabia, and Boaka went with his wife. All of these great move, and I think Boaka went with the foreign minister, who's basically, missing. Basically, I don't know what she's doing. So when Boaka went in, Boaka was very, the reception was good. Was a very good reception from what I gathered from Conakry.
Was it true that they made him wait for 2 hours, Mr. Sharif?
I
That's
mean,
true. That's true.
well, I don't know the about some of the other details, right?
Mr.
But as the
Mr. Perry, your
meeting,
time almost over.
but this is important, Dennis. I
I
know
know.
this time, but this is the
I mean,
meat
at
of
30
the
seconds,
issue.
though. This can talk a lot, my man. Y'all can talk too much.
This is the meat of the issue. So after the meeting, and so Dumbuya gave instruction to pull back. So these guys will pull back from where they were initially, and they promised to work together. The thing about this is that, when the communique was even being read, I don't know where the foreign minister of Liberia came in to say anything in English or say anything in a Liberian colloquial. It doesn't have to be English, in a local Liberian language, whatever. I didn't see that. Everything that was read in Conakry was read in French, right? Basically. And so they promised to meet again. So Boaga needs to continue to invest into that diplomatic effort. That diplomatic project that was undertaken in Conakry needs to still be pursued, because I believe that Dumbuya has, respect for Boaga's, ability to pursue, diplomacy. So therefore, I think that they should go that route. But I don't know. Like right now, you're talking to the French, telling the French to intervene. I mean, that does not sound like someone who's confident in terms of his own ability to resolve this issue. And lastly, Dennis, what I'm going to say about this now is that Sekou Touré and all these guys knew about this issue, but these were guys, they were not in favor of all of these different. It wasn't about, this is my land, this is your land. They saw the entire continent as one, not this is Guinea, this is Liberia. Sekou Touré understood that Liberia is a victim of land theft by the French colonial administration in the 1890s, in the 1900s, in the 1910s, and what have you, during the colonial era. So that's what we're talking about now. So because Liberia is a victim, and Mr. Tubman, didn't understand these things, so he did not want national unification in terms of, union of, as Kwame Nkrumah wanted, United States of Africa. So these are the things that hopefully next time that we will talk about.
Next time. Thank you, gentlemen. We have passed our time here. We are 23 minutes over.
No, we're not closing.
Hold on, Mr.
Over there, guy. See the other man.
Dennis, you bring this so you people here that the problem we have now. There are many people here. There are many people there.
I was reading about dereliction of duty, because that's why some people are charging Mr. Boaka with. They say, like in the U.S., dereliction of duty is not a specific statutory crime under federal law for the U.S. president, making it a political or constitutional issue rather than a criminal one. Why it may be grounds for impeachment as high crime or misdemeanor, it is generally considered a term of political or moral condemnation. So for those of you who thought President Boaka ran away, no, he did not. And you can impeach him for that. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for this. Tomorrow, I'm going to have some soup militants here, so we'll talk about the issue with the soup thing. And then also, former presidential contender, Mr. Kouyaté, will be my guest.
Kouyaté?
Yeah, I think he's the ambassador to Guinea there. Is he the chargé d'affaires or envoy to Guinea?
From Alcoa, right? Where are you from?
He's the envoy to Guinea right here.
let's close.
All right, let me because I got to run real quick. So let me close quick. So guys,
No. You got to wait
Man,
for man.
it's
Let
real
me close
people
first.
here.
yeah, me, I
Yo,
really want to run quick. I don't want to do my own real short.
No,
No,
you
I'll
didn't
wait.
say about the
I'll
man.
wait. I'll wait.
You gotta listen to other people for a week.
Mr. Congo, you wanted to say something quickly?
Now, I just want to say
Don't
the
talk
shift tomorrow
short.
with the Vanguard student, the Vanguard Student Unification Party will be a great show.
No.
I think they had a successful protest, and the one that is coming will even be far more bigger.
No. Your
They
That's all I
need,
closing.
want to say.
Mr. Tule.
It is their right to protest. And so
let
we
me
don't
close
have time
quick
now.
before the man.
Mr. Tule, your closing.
Okay, so look, there was some, I think we had a healthy discussion. It's good to have, difference of opinions and stuff, and that's what makes our democracy, sort of healthy as we see it today. But so,
Does
like,
that extend to Yekeh?
of course,
Right.
man. Look, I think, look,
I'm
Why
kidding. Just
why
go
you
ahead.
asking all the man?
whether Yeke is a lawmaker or a common citizen who has, like, you guys
Just do your
were
closing.
arguing that he has the right to free speech, but free speech comes with responsibility. Like, you all about here in the West, we cannot go to Walmart and call fire, 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 or say shoot us, shoot us, shoot us, and if it's not if you don't have any proof of there is no fire going on in the building, you just shout, you're going to jail, and you know that you'll be charged and go to jail for it. So whether he was a common citizen or and then let alone he's not even a common citizen, he's someone who swore to the Constitution, and then later on he did not uphold to the Constitution, by his utterances. Maybe some of you guys might say, there was an overreach or the punishment was so harsh. But I think Yeke deserved that because Yeke had so much opportunity to have apologized to his colleague, and they would have moved forward with that. I believe it would have happened. But Yeke consistently said he hold no regret for his statement he made. He stand by his statement and whatever. And then by extension today, this is situation he finds himself. So look, in as much as I disagree sometimes with my government, there are so many ways they are proceeding that are not they are not 100% perfect, right? There are ways where we are working on things, but the president cannot always mount the podium to always address the nation on on even though that this issue is much more pressing. That's why you have the defense minister. The Ministry of Defense should be out here updating us, declassify certain information, let the public know on a periodic basis as to what is unfolding at the border, so that we do not, just listen to hearsay from the border or anyone who picks up phone and just lie to us or whatever. So thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. I believe in this government. I know we are working towards making this happen. And look, and then Dennis, I'll urge you that look, let's talk about the military. Let's talk about how we can upgrade our military. Let's talk about, you
And we don't want to put too many
know,
low fans in the
We
military.
don't
Let's
we
leave our
don't need
military for
we don't need another
Thank you.
military,
Mr.
please.
Gonglo, you're closing, Mr. Gonglo. Thank you, Mr. Tule.
thank you, man.
Well, Dennis, I think this was an interesting exchange of views on the Liberian issue. I hope we can do many more of this. But I think the irony in our country is we replace a George Weah that will say, Unity Party people say, he was not engaged in the public, with a president that also does not engage the public. So it's actually an irony. We say Unity Party accused the CDC government of corruption. They are also 3 times more corrupt than the CDC government. So they it's
Where's the
like
data?
I've argued many times.
Where's the
The
data,
CDC
Mr.
and the
Gonglo?
Unity Party. Oh, because it's evidential, man. Dennis, you
You see,
open
when I
typical
said my
newspaper
own, you
or
wanted data. Now you can give me data.
oh no, my source is front page Africa and all the newspapers. All the allegations of corruption is all on Spoon Network also is posting every time many more data out there on official corruption in the country, in the current government. Okay, so those are my sources. But I will say this. Let me just end my statement on that. Liberians have to find a way to think past the CDC and the Unity Party. I think we have reached a tipping point that the CDC and the Unity Party have run out of ideas on how to make Liberia a governable country, to make Liberians to become prosperous. They've run out of ideas. And they engage, everything they do is a charade, is meant to just govern our vote. They don't think in terms of long term. Look at the B Mountain situation. Look at the investment incentive code they have for the country. From 2006 up to this point, they've given our critical mineral sector out to foreign companies for little or nothing. You know, I mean, the country makes billions of dollars from the country, and the country is poor. You know,
Thank you.
there's no long in the future of the youth. So we have to begin to think beyond Unity Party and the CDC, because I think these are sesame twins of corruption and mismanagement of public resources.
Thank you. Mr. Elvis.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dye. Look, I must say that I think what Yekeh did and said was egregious. In my opinion, did it rise to the ultimate, conclusion that he should have been expelled? I think no. It should have been punitive measures, action taken against him. But I don't think expulsion, was the right punishment. But also, I think the president, as the leader of the country, is not informing and communicating with the country enough. And on other more maybe social issues, and some people might say more trivial issues, perhaps we can give him a pass. But this is national security issue that is paramount. Someone was actually shot. This is not something that we're getting we just came in strong armors. Somebody was shot in the thigh, I think. So this is another country firing weapon on the land that we claim is our land. It's an act of war. So I think the president should keep us updated. And if we can get reasonable and credible information that these guys are still on the land, that means that the land that we claim to be our sovereign land is still being occupied. And the president being silent on that issue is really troubling. I think the soup issue, he should also speak on it, because it has a propensity to spread. Like Mr. Gongo was saying, that they're going to do another protest. They're pretty much trying to defy the government. And those things can cause instability in the country. So I think the criticism about we are not speaking enough was right. And in this case, I think the president not speaking enough is maybe not as severe, but in this instance, he should be keeping us up to date. And lastly, I would say to my brother Momo, sometimes you just have to spill out, my man. If the president is wrong, criticize him. Don't go around the people who are around him. The same thing they said with George. We are
I mean,
bad
I
people
can
around the
criticize our
president.
man. We're not a sedition, man. We can criticize our government.
Yeah.
Sedition, do not
I
criticize the
I hear
government.
you. But
I heard that reaction. There was one reaction who called.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
complete reaction. The one that
Okay.
called from North Dakota.
Yeah, I hear you, right? But my last point here is that the legislature, right? The burden of proof is not at the level of a criminal case where you have to have a jury. The jury there is the fellow legislators. So if they felt like what he did was egregious enough to expel him from amongst their midst, that was their that was their reason, and they did it. And in their in their body, in their governing thing is what they deem to be credible enough to expel him. So I think they should reconsider. I think if Yekeh think he has a case to go to the Supreme Court, maybe they can reverse this action and give him back his seat. I think it was too far.
Thank you, Mr. Sharif.
Thank you. So I see Mohammed Dollar says CMC is the way. So what's going to happen now? You have parties that are going to take advantage of this, where you have first you have one president who couldn't speak to nobody. Then, from the pulpit, okay, we heard something every Sunday. If you wanted to know anything that George Weah was going to do on Monday, go to church on Sunday. Or wait for one of his, records to drop. You hear them in song like Mr. Liar. I mean,
that was unconventional, but at least that was President Trump.
That was a banger, Mr. Sharif. That was a banger of a song.
I mean, like, are you always serious? Like, okay, so now you telling this man that he's lying on you, but then you have to drop a record, Mr. Liam, and really I enjoy it, Mr. But and this is what we've become now. So George Weah goes away. You have Joseph Boakai in place of George Weah, who replaced Mr. Weah. Joseph Boakai only speaks to the Voice of America, the BBC. If you want to hear how eloquent Mr. Boakai is, just watch his interviews on the BBC and the VOA, right? Just watch those or listen to the ones on the radio. You will know how eloquent he is. He gives them all the time in the world. But he's not going to come to you, Dennis, because you're a Liberian-owned media institution. He's not going to go to other outlets. He's not even going to go to LBS. I mean, what sort of thing is that? I show you on our program, Democracy in Africa, the other day, where you had in Botswana during their election in 2024, where there was actually a debate. And this was something to me was like, oh my God. So in Africa, there can really be a debate with the incumbent and the opposition standing shoulder to shoulder, having a real debate. In Liberia, we never have that. You have all the incumbents running away from debates. Okay, that's the first thing. They don't communicate. And on this very serious issue of national concern, which is the border crisis, the border dispute with Guinea, Mr. Boakai has not addressed the Liberian people. He needs to address the Liberian people. I don't care if the press secretary goes out there and put out few releases. The president needs a weekly conference, a weekly discussion, a fire chart. I don't care what it is. Call it whatever. Part of his job is to communicate. We hire him to communicate to us, to tell us what's going on. He's not communicating. Like, what is going on here?
You said weekly? The president should adjust the nation weekly?
Yes, yes. Nah. What else is he doing? What else is he doing? If he's not doing that, what else does the president of the Republic of Liberia actually do? That's a very easy job to do. What else do you do? You don't talk to people? Like, what else do you do? You just sign budgets and keep half of the money.
Let me tell you this one, right? As you talk about
he
signing.
Speaks to his press secretary weekly.
No, don't do that. That's
it. When his press secretary speaks, it is his office that is speaking.
So the last time the press secretary said she justified the full-up frontier force, was that President Boakai speaking?
Anything from that press secretary podium, it reflects the office of the presidency. Let's be true here.
Mr. Sharif, I have this news for you. You know, yes, when they did the Local Government Act?
Yes.
So they have 7 assistant ministers. But then in the 7 assistant ministers, but in the body of the document, one minister was eliminated. It was only in the table of content because they didn't really read through. They say lawmaking is like sausage making is dirty. You can do all kinds of things. Yeah. So at the end of the day, they did not proofread to make sure that one of the assistant ministers, that portfolio in the table of content is not reflected in the body. And that's your friend's job. So when they went back to the Senate for confirmation, the Senate said, well, they saw in the table of content, that's from the table of content, President Boakai did the appointment. But then in the body of the law, that is missing. And nobody was able to catch that.
Are you
so when they went for confirmation, they told Mr. Mark Jabata, they said, but the job you have come for is there's no role defined for it.
Unbelievable.
I think someone did not just do their job. Someone never did their job.
Yeah, your government didn't do their job. They didn't have competent people to do the job.
Someone did not. No, I mean, and that is so fair. Someone did not do their job, and that person should be held accountable. That's the difference between us. That's the difference between us to rescue some support institutions.
Has that person been held accountable now?
They are investigating again. You just want to see immediate action.
Investigation go on.
Investigation going on currently.
Mr. Sharif,
Dennis, say everybody has made their closing. I want to
No,
cover
I haven't
one
done
prediction.
it. I haven't closed yet.
No,
Now
no,
make a quick
no.
prediction.
Mohammed is on the floor. Let Mohammed finish.
Yeah,
I went up and I just
so,
made a
Congo, let me
consultation.
Congo,
I
let
want
me
to make
finish.
your prediction.
No,
What
the
the
last man
governor
ain't
of
finished yet.
Liberia
The
is
last
about
man
to
ain't finished close yet.
Congo, I like to
Mr. Gonglo.
The man will get up breaking news. He went this presentation.
Mr. Gonglo,
That
hold
man
on.
when I got information, he was not give it.
What the governor of Liberia is about to do to Yekeh Kolubah. I want to say 10 seconds. The governor
No,
of Liberia is.
Yeah, but who gave you information to come here again?
Well, I was just consulting. That's why I went up.
Nah, the man went in the back.
Mr. Sherry, you yield?
yeah,
It,
but
it
so
consulted with the Oracle.
Yes, what he did.
Brother Momo, so I don't know your advocacy for the Unity Party. I hope, and I'm only hoping that this is not some form of regionalism, because I don't like regionalism. I don't like this sort of tribalism. I don't like it
No,
because
it's not that, man.
you are defending the indefensible. Like, you cannot do that. You have to be fair. Call it what it is. I mean, this is the politics of Liberia.
You are closing.
It's not. It's inimical to
No, he
good
said
governance.
he said here he's from Foya, just like President Boakai, but that's
Oh,
not his reason.
He's
But
from
that's
Foya.
not.
Are you from Foya?
I'm a Luffy, and I said that.
Are you from Foya? That's my
I'm
question.
from Foya Tenga. Yeah.
Okay, so you closer to Baka, where Baka's from?
That's the same district.
No, that one doesn't matter right now. What we're talking about,
It matters. It matters.
No, I'm not.
Mr. Sherry, your time over. Dr. Pearson, your closing.
Yeah, Mr. Cherry talking about Maria. You want me to different discussion? Let him leave it with the last sedition.
Dr. Pearson, your closing.
I'm not a sedition.
No, I want to say thanks for the show tonight. It was a great show. I want to tell Momo, look, please feel free to come on the show when you see me. I won't be that harsh on you again, because I know you learned your lesson tonight.
Good lesson.
Let me say this. Do I like what Yekeh Kolubah say? No, I did not like what Yekeh Kolubah say. It said against the law for him to have held an opinion and make his opinion known on who he thinks information provided to him owns the disputed property. Is it unconstitutional, or is it a violation of the law? No, I think he has the right to hold an opinion. For his position as a lawmaker, is it prudent for him to be making such a statement at this time? I would say it is not prudent. Does that warrant him to be stripped of his title as representative, representing his people who saw him fit to represent him? I would say no. Is this whole thing political? I would say yes, it's more political than constitutional. I think it's a constitutional violation of his rights, because he was not given proper due process, looking at the gravity of the decision and the punishment meted out onto him. Because due process is described by the law and interpreted by the Supreme Court. Any other due process outside of this Supreme Court or the Constitution of Liberia is null. So I think Yekeh is still representative of District number 10. I think he should continue to hold his office, and like he's doing, he should continue to take this up in the court, because at the end of the day, it's not about Yekeh. Like we said with Fanatic Kofa, it's not about Yekeh. Today, it might be Yekeh if we allow it to happen. It may be me tomorrow. So this is an opportunity for Yekeh to take this up. Let the Supreme Court clearly give us an understanding of what the situation is, so that tomorrow, if this is being done again, we can have a reference to the law and to have our due process again reaffirmed. All right. And in closing, I'll say, listen, look, when it comes to a country that is 178 years old, going to 179 in 3 months, and we cannot properly educate our citizens on what our borders are, and even if the border is not clearly defined, we still cannot give ourselves a clear educational information to the population and say, look, I graduated from high school knowing that Liberia and Guinea share a disputed border, and this is a determination that was last reached by an agreement or a treaty or a memorandum of understanding or whatever diplomatic arrangement that was made. This is a document to show from generation to generation. Then the guys should leave there, getting 44, continue, all of them should leave, and we'll have a new government, because they are not fit to lead. And I think President Boakai, to be frank with you in closing, Dennis, President Boga should retire.
Did you
I
bring
think
Joria back?
I think
You
President
want to
Boga
bring
should
Joria back?
retire. I think President Boga should retire like tomorrow.
Should they bring Weah back?
No.
Oh, okay, thank you.
It please me. All right. So I think if we cannot educate ourselves, and Guinea is educated to what is theirs, Guinea has not violated any laws in Liberia. I do not want to even stand to say I do not want to even stand to say as a Liberian that Guinea has violated our territorial integrity until my country can show me our demarcation.
We got to vote to
Man, I
for the
disagree. You
platform.
don't, that other last part, that other last.
Thank you.
My government should convince me with evidence so that I can stand up and speak for them with facts. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you, Dr.
The constitution said my government is responsible to educate me and make me literate on these facts. They cannot let me literate.
I'm going to save education series.
Dennis, you gotta come out with more. Come out with a better topic.
Mr. Gongo, I want to warn you. We don't want conspiracy, but let's go.
Yeah, Mr. Gongo, Guinea went and brought some.
Yeah, go ahead. 10 seconds.
On another
10
show
seconds,
a few years ago, I made a prediction and it came true. Here is what I will say. It's a bold prediction based on what I know now at this moment. The government has conducted a survey and they found out that if the whole by-election, Yekeh Kolubah is going to win hands down. So,
but he's not even going to participate.
Hold on, let me finish, please.
No law on that, though. No law on that.
And being expelled doesn't preclude you from running again.
Yeah,
if election is held within 90 days, he cannot contest until after 90 days.
It's now a criminal conviction.
Yeah, he can.
So
he can recontest. I agree with you.
So what the government is going to do starting Monday and Tuesday is they're going to arrest Yekeh Kolubah and put a criminal charge on him that they cannot prove and keep him in court to disqualify him from pursuing if there is a by-election. That's a strategy.
I mean, to some extent, there's some kind of
it's not far-fetched. They've done similar things. So
I can agree with that because he has to go through due process. They turn it over. That's what he said when we were reading his verdict. They turn it over to the Ministry of Justice to prosecute him. You put on the reading of the verdict.
They didn't even speak him for anything criminal in nature. Why would they turn him over to the Ministry of Justice?
No, as a criminal offense. But
outside the executive is taking them more criminal.
Oh,
the executive is taking them more criminal than the legislature.
If you want to do criminal things, then you charge the man.
If they do that, actually, we need to protest in Liberia. If they actually do that, that would be absolute nonsense.
So it's different. The legislature explaining based on misconduct.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for tonight. I want to thank our viewers. Focus on Liberia. We don't end any broadcast without playing our song that says whether you are from Foyan or Vubadi, what is a comment upon all of us is to do our very best to make our country the glorious land of liberty.
Yes, sir. I wait.
We are Liberian. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberian.